basically all the controversies about bank narration, about, VAT, about, additional charges for people, the thresholds that were pointed out. And whether or not, this is all about protecting the poor for the benefit of the people. And he said very clearly that, look, this is in the interest for the benefit of the people also. That given the constraint of time, will seem to be the summary. So the true test, however, is in the implementation. And I raised questions about the MOU signed with France. And he says, oh, it's about modernization, it's about digitization and all of that, and that they have similar agreements and treaties, whatever, with other countries. That is not only France. But I enjoin people to go and listen to that interview again, and to listen with an open mind to be able to understand, the submissions by Dr. Adedeji. Now, the next thing is about Venezuela, which you raised. There are issues here. One, the issue of sovereignty, and whether under international law, one country can go and invade the other and seize the president of that country. Article 2 talks about, of the UN Charter, talks about equality of states. Article 7 says, you cannot just go and attack another country without cause. Article 51 says you can only do that when it is sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council. And the United Nations Security Council is in fact going to meet on January 6th to consider whether it is legal or not. The other issue about legality has to do with the role of Congress. In the United States, yes, the argument that in 1999, the United States engaged in the rendition of Manuel Noriega in a similar fashion. It was approved by Congress. But this time around, President Trump has disobeyed international law. He has disobeyed, or he disregarded Congress, dismissing them as talkers, leakers, people who go and leak, and so he acted unilaterally. 3, the point has been well established that this is not about fentanyl or about drugs, as he has alleged, that President Maduro is leader of a circle of drug traffickers. However, it's about oil, as he himself has confessed. And as Julia Richardson, the former general commanding the Southern Command, has pointed out that this is about resources. This is about the threat of China in terms of trade. So these are the basic issues involved. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, will be arraigned in the New York court in Manhattan, I think this morning, and then they will be charged, of course, for weapons possessions, drug smuggling, conspiracy, and narco-terrorism, and then we'll begin to get the details. But, however, this has already caused a lot of concern, both in terms of what will happen to the energy market internationally, and also what the implications of this will be for international trade. Considering the fact that Venezuela has the largest crude oil reserve in the world, about 303 billion barrels of crude in terms of reserves. Even if since the 2000s, as a result of sanctions, Venezuela has only been able to provide just about 1% of global output. So Trump saying he's going to seize Venezuela oil and send Exet and Marco Rubio to oversee Venezuela, even to get that oil infrastructure working. It will take them years and billions of money, about $10 billion per annum. So this has put uncertainty, one, in the energy market, and also in the political space in Venezuela, and we dare say, in the whole of that affected region. Very quickly, as for Rivers, now Senator Bashiru is saying that, look, he objects, the party objects to Diadom saying Fubara is a so-called governor of Rivers State. There's no governor that is so-called. Every governor takes an oath of office, duly elected by the people. And even the chairman of the party, APC that is, Yetuada Netanwe, over the weekend issued a statement that the leader of the APC in Rivers, as far as the party is concerned, is Sim Fubara. who is a member of the APC and not any other person. And it was very clear that Nyesom Wike is not a member of the APC. That as far as they know, he belongs to the PDP. And that Sim Fubara is entitled to a second term as long as he wins at the primaries. And that every governor, sitting governor within their party, will have to go through that primaries. And there seems to be support coming from the top, from the spokesperson of the party and from the chairman of the party for Fubara. And that, I think, is a strong message to those who go about that Fubara is not 001 of Rivers State, is 001 of his ward. It is also a statement to them that in spite of their exertions, exuberant, youthful exertions, that they are being reminded that there is a limit to their enthusiasm. The people concerned know themselves. This is a very strong message from the APC party itself. And those who are intelligent enough should be able to understand the subtext of that intervention by the party on the side of Sim Fubara.
All right, let me start with the tax law and the controversies or the conversation around that. I thought that interview was very detailed with Dr. Zak Adediji, and for you to watch, I believe, our new YouTube channel. It was today on This Day Live with Dr. Abati. You can watch the replay of that. However, in all of our sayings, I must say that this morning, I doubt that a number of people are convinced with some of the things that have been said. And I think it further describes the erosion of the trust of the people and the government. And the question has been asked around when this happens, or when we have a crisis of legitimacy in such an instance, it erodes the level of work that has been done on this joint tax bill. I say this because months of consultations were had, and Dr. Adediji spoke about that. Taiwo Dele has been here a number of times to talk about how widely they consulted with various stakeholders. There were a number of debates going back to rejig the law in order to ensure that all parties had a fair representation, especially when the northern region had, were not happy with the tax and the VAT distribution. Those issues were tackled, and finally seemed like we had gotten to a point where we were able to have a proper tax law that to some extent or to a large extent would work with the average Nigerian person. Following the accusations or the allegations made by Honorable Dasuki in the House of Representatives, then resurrected a new chain of challenges. Now, a few people have come out to speak. I remember that when Mr. Oyedele came here to the studio, he was unable to really speak authoritatively, because he himself had said he had not seen the harmonized copy of the bill as passed or as transmitted by the National Assembly. And that was, of course, cause for concern, even though he said he had seen a copy or he had known what was happening, but what he had was an official document. Now, Dr. Adediji has now confidently come out to say that it is what was passed, is what was gazetted, and that's what would be implemented. There's conversations around this then. If Honorable Dasuki raised that alarm in the National Assembly and it seemed or deemed to be false, then he also needs to come on the question, and I'm sure you'd agree. If he was able, because he who alleges must prove, if he has said it and he threw the whole nation, upended a tax law that had gained momentum, then he has questions to answer. Perhaps he needs to come out and share the evidence he has to throw Nigerians into this panic as to whether or not there was a tweaking or an adjustment of what was passed. I believe that in the spirit of fairness, both parties have spoken, but he who alleges must prove, just because of what it portends for building that trust between the people and the government, and the fact that when it comes to tax matters, it can be very sensitive. You're talking about people's hard-earned money. There are gray areas around that, and so that still exists. Now, what the taxman must do, or what the government must do, already they've already started that. One of it, this engagement, He hasn't spoken a lot around this. Mr. Oyedele has led the charge many times, and you can understand why he was the chairman of the committee. But I believe that a lot more information, as we have called consistently for, has to go out. And people need to find information from the right sources, not social media banter, not from social media propagandists, but people who have the correct information around this. And in order for us to do that, Nigerians need to see certified true copies or true actual documents, not reported speech. I think that's very important. People must understand. Then how the tax affects them. There's still a lot of conversations or opaqueness or shall I say uncertainties for a number of the everyday Nigerians as to how this tax affects them because again of the misinformation that happened in the timeline in between. I believe that the tax office, Nigerian Revenue Service, should take the lead on this by ensuring that information is put out there consistently and in different formats that everybody, different people can understand. Different languages that appeals to different cultures, that appeals to different sensibilities. This is the onus of the Nigerian government to ensure that everyone is carried along and in a way, especially because it affects every single person. And so those are some of the things I would mention this morning because it still hangs in the air. It's a good thing that Dr. Adedeji spoke spoke authoritatively. He was very confident in his responses yesterday in that interview. But I do feel that Honorable Dasuki owes the Nigerian people after making such a grave allegation to justify what he said, so that we know that what we have on ground years down the line, we're not questioning or nothing else comes up out of that. Beyond that, one other thing where they say, oh, he's protecting the poor, and evidence of the fact that people don't see it that way is that NANS is still going on. They've called for a strike action on the 14th of January next week, to protest the fact that the tax law does not benefit the most vulnerable. That needs to be addressed as well. Why are there uncertainties around and people are jittery about its effect and impact on their livelihood? This needs to be addressed and in very clear terms. Engagements, because you don't need that kind of distraction, particularly when the president has said it's a monumental shift and could be, pave way for Nigeria to generate revenue and to protect the most vulnerable in society. Now, moving on away from that, let me touch on insecurity. The president has talked tough, even though, like I mentioned earlier on, he's talking tough from abroad. And a number of people right from the time had criticized or at least had something to say about the fact that at such a critical time in our nation, he's not in the country. Like I mentioned earlier, he's entitled to go on leave. Every worker deserves a break. But at a point in time where there are a number of issues around insecurity, perhaps some people might argue that this is a time to be at home, to stay at home and actually, as the commander-in-chief, really take charge of what's going on. We saw what's happened now in Niger State. And unfortunately, we've heard and read statements like this from commanders-in-chief, not just President Tinubu, but even previous leaders. But what Nigerians want to move away from is announcements and the right language to the right actions, that we will see an end to brazen acts of terrorism like this, where a large number of people would be carted away. This is what Nigerians are asking, and they're saying it's not rocket science. Straight after that, we took the story of Katsina State, and I must give kudos to security operatives who are working assiduously to ensure that they're able to defeat terrorism. But unfortunately, for it to have lasted this long, the Nigerian people are saying it's not enough, and people do not feel safe currently under this administration. And that's one area that must be faced even as we look ahead to the next elections in 2027. I already talked about the politicking in Rivers State and in other parts of the country. Politics is head on in politics. Now with Maduro, I'll just say this very quickly. We have Adefemi coming up next, and she would break this story down. It has been trending. It has been the number one topic. But the winners and losers. Number one, of course, the United States has emerged perhaps the greatest winner. But one thing that was clear is the immense power, executive power that the President of the United States has. This has demonstrated that. We often talk about the Nigerian presidency as a monarchy, but we can now see that what has happened in the United States is that previous presidents have not just exercised the excessive power, reach of the extent of their power in instances like this. Beyond that also is that would we see a return of Maria Machado, the current UN Nobel Peace Prize winner, or the latest one. The other thing is, of course, has been talked about the potential access to oil by the United States of America. So a number of things we'll be talking about, and the losers later on when Adefemi comes to join us very shortly. But it's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Adefemi Akinsoya join us for World Brief and to review top stories in today's newspaper. Stay with us.
It be like saying Atrusha. This kind of resilience is only made in Nigeria. Rolled sleeves, working miracles, making progress happen with competence and compassion. Made in this same Nigeria. There is a Nigeria to be made by the Nigerian who makes things happen. Union Bank, enabling success here and now.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go all scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press and lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My Baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Mommy, relax.
Banking that's fast and reliable. A debit card that works. Enjoy unlimited free transfers.
Tell me the truth. Where is all this money coming from?
Mommy, relax. I just bank smarter with unlimited free transfer from PalmPay.
But do they give you free money too?
Yes, so I get up to 20% interest on my savings annually. And that is what I use to buy the lace. But you still owe me for the grocery shop.
With PalmPay, your money moves when you want it to. PalmPay, the smarter way to bank.
Solar energy has improved the lives of Nigerians in the sense that we can have a cleaner environment and thereby preserving the earth for future generations. Our mission is to ensure we develop and deliver locally acceptable, contemporary, and innovative solutions in partnership with global organizations to ensure that we become the first and the trusted choice for Nigerians. So the option of having a solar solution at just 30% equity already ensures that you have money back in your pocket, because then you can then pay on a monthly basis over a period of time, which if you compare with the fact that you're also paying grid is actually more affordable over a period of time. Then you can have your access to power under your control at every point in time for up to 10 years.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now for World Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Adefemi Akinsanya. Good morning, Adefemi, freshly back from vacation.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben.
Good morning.
I missed you guys too. Happy New Year. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Did you guys all have a lovely Christmas break?
No,
I didn't.
You need to spend Christmas with us next year.
No,
We'll work on that. I've been telling my family that Lagos is sweet, that we have to enjoy it
Christmas
too.
Day, I was on air for close to 5 hours.
Yeah, I saw it, but it was an excellent special. You guys did an excellent job, I have to say.
I would have rather, it would have been more exciting if I was spending with my family in the house.
It's okay. It's okay. We appreciate the sacrifice. Good morning to you viewers. Happy New Year to you too. Let me tell you, what is happening around the world. The story is Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro, the former president of Venezuela, and his wife, Celia Flores, are set to appear in a New York court today, Monday at noon Eastern Time. They are facing charges of narco-terrorism, cocaine trafficking, and possession of machine guns and destructive devices. Maduro's son, Nicolas Ernesto Maduro Guerra, is also included in the indictment, which you can see on your screens now. Now, the charges stem from allegations of a vast drug trafficking network, with the indictment accusing Maduro of running a corrupt, illegitimate government fueled by an extensive operation that flooded the US with thousands of tons of cocaine, with the indictment claiming that Maduro and his wife ordered kidnappings, beatings, and murders against those who owed them drug money or undermined their operation. Furthermore, it alleges that Maduro's wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes in 2007 alone in order to arrange a meeting between a large-scale drug trafficker and the director of Venezuela's National Anti-Drug Office. Now, Maduro and his wife were captured in a military operation called Absolute Resolve early on Saturday in Venezuela at the Miraflores Presidential Palace. Now, it was carried out by U.S. operations. The operation involved a raid on the presidential complex in Caracas. Explosions were heard in the vicinity of the complex during the raid as the United States forces clashed with Maduro's loyalist troops. After his capture, Maduro was transported to the United States and is currently being held at a federal jail in Brooklyn. He's being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center over in Brooklyn. Meanwhile, the implications of Maduro's capture are complex and uncertain, with the United States having long accused him of corruption and drug trafficking and not recognizing him as Venezuela's legitimate president. Now, however, the international community has reacted with caution to Maduro's capture, with some Latin American countries expressing concerns about the implications of the operation. Brazil, Argentina, Chile have issued statements calling for a peaceful resolution to the crisis, while Venezuelans, who you can see on your screen, in Spain, as well as the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they have been expressing support for the United States, celebrating in Spain for what America has done. Now, the news may have been shocking, but it's not really a surprise, because in the months leading up to Maduro's capture, the United States had conducted a series of strikes against alleged narco-trafficking boats off the coast of Venezuela, seizing oil and disrupting the country's lucrative oil trade. Furthermore, the US government has taken a strong stance against narco-terrorism. You've got Attorney General Pombandai stating that Maduro and his wife would soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called Maduro a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million bounty over his head, while also hinting that Cuba could be the next target in the U.S. government's efforts to combat narco-terrorism in the region. For now, Trump says that Venezuela will be run by the United States, but it's not clear what that leadership will look like. But what we can see is that the United States, yet again, is flexing its muscles as a superpower in a sovereign country and getting away with it. Let's move on. There have been widespread protests across Iran, which have intensified entering a second week amid deepening economic hardship, with soaring inflation and collapsing currency, prompting shopkeepers, students, and workers to take to the streets. Protesters have been clashing with security forces in cities including Tehran, the capital, but also Isfahan and Shiraz, with rights groups reporting multiple deaths. Now, US President Donald Trump warned that Washington is locked and loaded to intervene if Iranian authorities violently suppress peaceful demonstrators. Now, it is a rare and provocative statement that has drawn strong condemnation from Tehran. Iranian officials who have the experience of America interfering in their business, as we remember last year, they say that any foreign intervention would destabilize the region and threaten American interests, calling such threats a violation of sovereignty and international law. It begs the question, where is the love? Well, maybe we find the love in the city of love itself, in Paris, where Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu shared this image of himself meeting Rwanda's President Paul Kagame. I hope we can see the image in a moment. And the two leaders, lovely. The two leaders had a private lunch in the French capital to discuss Africa's economic future and regional cooperation and shared development goals. However, the image has sparked some controversy because online, there have been reports suggesting that the picture may have been generated using artificial intelligence. Now, the bottom right hand of the screen, hopefully you can zoom in, but just here, you can see a watermark of Grok, right? Now, the presidency has yet to formally respond to questions surrounding the authenticity of the image, but officials maintain that the meeting did take place during President Tinubu's ongoing stay in Europe. Now, the picture of the leaders apparently, in part, it does show, of course, two leaders talking. You've got food on Kagame's plate. There's nothing on President Tinubu's plate. And they are seemingly in a restaurant, right? And clearly, as I pointed out, it does have this Grok watermark, which is cropped out here. But what is Grok, you may ask? Well, Grok is an artificial intelligence tool integrated into X, formerly known as Twitter. And it does allow images to be modified on the platform. The question is why? Why did the officials who released this image need to alter it with AI? And if they did, why is that even an issue? Who knows? Those are the questions to ask yourself. Before I come to you for your analysis, let's take a look at our newspaper headlines from across the globe. As ever, we begin with the front page of This Day. And This Day does leave with a series of stories. So let's take a look at this one right at the top. Sahara Group, they have endorsed the federal government's infrastructure and energy reforms, saying policy clarity, foreign exchange stability, and legacy debt settlements have boosted investor confidence, with the firm confirming that it has repaid $438 million of its $600 million power sector loan and plans major gas, renewable, and tech-driven expansion to strengthen electricity supply in Nigeria. This Day also reports on this story, President Tinubu condemning the recent terrorist attacks in Niger State, describing them as a test of Nigeria's resolve, and he has ordered security agencies to hunt down the perpetrators, rescue the abducted victims, and ensure they face the full weight of the law. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph this morning. The New Telegraph, where is the New Telegraph? Let's take a look at it. Now, the New Telegraph, no, this is the Daily Mail. But the New Telegraph, I'll tell you, wonderful. We've got this nice clip up here. The New Telegraph reports that terrorists attacked communities in Agwara and Borgu local government areas of Niger State. They killed over 40 people and abducted many others, including children, barely weeks after previously rescuing pupils who were reunited with their families. Let's take a look at the Daily Trust next. The Daily Trust does report that the National Assembly has disowned controversial gazetted versions of the 4 tax laws, releasing certified true copies to affirm the original versions passed by lawmakers and assented to by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the National Assembly said that the altered gazettes contained unauthorized changes and urged the public to rely only on the certified acts as investigations continue into how these discrepancies occurred in the first place. Well, the Daily Independent, let's take a look at the Daily Independent. It does report that aviation experts or operators, they've warned that Nigeria's new tax laws, which are set to take effect in 2026, could raise airfares sharply, strain airlines already battling high costs, and potentially undermine safety if not carefully implemented. The Daily Independent also reports that despite a strong rebound in foreign capital inflows and rising reserves in 2025, experts are actually warning that Nigeria's real challenge is converting short-term so-called hot money into sustainable long-term economic growth and investor confidence. Something to think about. Let's take a look at The Guardian. Now, The Guardian reports that Nigeria's 2026 budget faces a potential $10 billion shortfall as the Venezuela crisis and possible returns of its oil to global markets threaten crude prices. Analysts warn that oil could fall to $50 per barrel, undermining the federal government's 58.18 trillion naira spending plan, weakening FX inflows and putting fresh pressure on the naira amid existing revenue shortfalls and rising debt obligations. Very quickly, let's take a look at our UK papers. We've got the Daily Mail, which focuses on what it says is an internal row within the Labour Party about the US attack on Venezuela. The newspaper says that UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is under pressure from left-wing hardliners to criticize America's capture of President Nicolas Maduro. The Prime Minister has not yet condemned the military action, but in a statement he released, did reiterate his support for international law. The Metro says that there were bizarre scenes as the ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro arrived in America after being seized by US forces. We have seen videos of Maduro surrounded by Drug Enforcement Administration agents during that perp walk, and also pictures of him seated next to officials with his thumbs up. Finally, on the Daily Star this morning, we do have Anthony Joshua being pictured on the front of the Daily Star after a car crash, unfortunately, here in Nigeria, which injured him and killed two of his close friends. Now, the boxer has shared a photograph on social media showing him with his mother and the family members of his friends, Sheena Gami and Abdulateef Ayodele, with the caption, "My brother's keepers." Now, both men were buried in London over the weekend following Janaza prayers at London Central Mosque. Rest in peace to those lovely gentlemen. Well, those are your newspaper headlines and, of course, your world brief. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so I'll tie Maduro with Iran, with the protest in Iran. So pretty much what America has been trying to do since what happened to the Shah, which, you know, America, it goes back to the Second World War and the association, parts of the West and the Pahlavi dynasty. So what happened is the fact that, just like they did to Maduro, they've been trying to gain foothold back in Iran after the Ayatollahs took over. And it's been very difficult for them. And they've tried everything possible. In fact, they feel very dejected the way it was they happened then. If you remember the contract crisis, you know, the crisis around that period really affected the political career of Jimmy Carter a lot. So since then, they've been trying everything. They've tried with sanctions. They've tried to cripple Iran. So with the protests and the repression, obviously, you're having a lot more younger people, the Gen Zers in Iran, and they're challenging the status quo in Iran. America has seen it as a sweet spot. The other day, I think the eldest son of Reza Pahlavi had been trying to look at things and say, okay, maybe I can incite my people to go after the government, and hopefully if the government and the Ayatollahs fall, then we can get in there. And that's why America is definitely threatening. You know, it's just like the hegemony America tries to push everywhere. But you see, in all of this that America is doing, the hypocrisy of countries like the UK is shocking. The hypocrisy of countries like the UK and likes of Keir Starmer. Never has anybody ever thought that there will be a day that the British Prime Minister will not be able to openly criticize something that is wrong in the world. And that's when Laura Kustenberg did ask the question. You said clearly that Putin's invasion of Ukraine is wrong. Why can't you not condemn the same thing Trump has done? He started talking about we're not having all the figures yet and all of that. You see, only time will tell. Just like the tax bill in Nigeria too. Time will reveal all, you know. So let's keep joking. Let's keep. How many gazettes do we have now in circulation? A few gazettes, right? So which one do we follow? Let's keep entertaining ourselves.
The official line.
The correct one. Which is the correct one? Is it the National Assembly one or the? Okay.
We'll know in the coming few days.
Oh, yeah.
Adefemi, welcome back. Good to see you. Very quickly, I started speaking on Maduro, Trump and Maduro, just during the newspaper at the top of the hour. But one of the things I just want to talk about is the hypocrisy of the West, especially when it comes to sovereignty, democracy, and of course, you remember George Orwell's Animal Farm book. That more animals are more equal than the other animals. We're all animals, but more animals are more equal than other animals. And I say this because the silence of world leaders, especially allies of the United States, who are quick to jump when it comes to issues around authoritarianism in countries on the African continent or in other countries, are very silent. In fact, like you mentioned, Keir Starmer only spoke about the fact that he would not shed tears on seeing Maduro gone, but he had nothing to say about America and Trump's action by invading a sovereign nation. And so earlier on, I said that what this demonstrated is the immense power, that executive power that the President of the United States has. And it's only used, it comes into force depending on who sits on that seat. And in this instance, it's President Trump. He has said that, it's as a result of drug, he wants to bring justice and the likes. And then the question then would be, if this isn't contained or checked, which country would be the next? What justification would America have to invade, as we saw in Afghanistan, where they've not been able to justify or demonstrate or show us where the weapons of mass destruction are? I say this because then maybe we might be kinder, and I use that word very loosely, to some of our African countries and leaders. A lot of people criticize President Tinubu's moves in Rivers State, saying that it was an affront to democracy when a sitting elected governor was suspended and a military administrator or an administrator was put in temporarily. He did this in the interest of peace, national security. President Trump now has also come to say that he's done this in the interest of national security on the US end. What's the difference? Because both of them, if you look at it, it's just an overreach in many instances has been criticized of power. And so maybe when we look at it from the lens and criticizing African countries, we see that democracy is flawed across the world.
Absolutely.
The only thing that works is when, it's only when a leader decides, at the discretion or the pleasure of the leader. But democracy across all over the world is not as golden as we often tout it to be.
Okay, earlier on, I spoke about Venezuela, and I raised the salient points about the illegality of it under international law and even under domestic U.S. law. President Trump acting unilaterally without recourse to Congress. It will be interesting to see what Congress will say in the days to come. It's not that the American president has immense powers. He doesn't have immense powers. He has checks and balances, and that's where Congress comes in.
Yes.
What we find under President Trump is the abuse of power. You know, what he has done is unconstitutional. It is anti-constitutional. It is a violation of Article 51 of the UN Charter. But more importantly, the residual point to note is that, look, might is right. That's the regime that Trump is imposing on the world today. And that has implications for the authority of the United Nations Security Council and the rules-based international order. That is what it is called. Now, as for Iran, I think the more important thing about Iran that we should note is President Trump threatening again that if anything happens to the protesters in Iran, he is going to get involved in the matter. Now, consistently, Israel and the United States, they've been trying to break down what is called the axis of resistance that is led by Iran. Either it is the Hezbollah in Lebanon, or Hamas in Gaza, or the forces in Syria, you know, and
the Houthis in Yemen.
The Houthi rebels in Yemen. Yeah, and now Iran himself has put himself in the eye of the storm. So we may see an escalation because already 19 people have been killed, 990 persons have been arrested. Ayatollah Khamenei is saying that, look, we should put down the protesters. He's saying a different thing from President Pezeshkian, who is saying, oh, we will negotiate with the people. But the issue is basically that in September, the United Nations reimposed sanctions on Iran related to nuclear warfare and uranium enrichment by Iran. In June, there was that coordinated attack, 12-day war. Israel attacking Iran, and then the U.S. also supporting. And all of that has put Iran on the wrong hand. Inflation is very high. The dollar, the real, which is the currency, is now 1.4 million to $1, and the people are suffering. So the people are rebelling, and they are calling for change. Yes. And America is saying these are courageous people. If anything happens to them, we will come to their rescue. It's all part of this might is right, this abuse of power and privilege by the United States and its allies. Thank you very much, Adefemi. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Wilson Uwujaren, Director of Public Affairs at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with the woman that makes all the things happen in Fidelity Bank, the MD of Fidelity Bank,
FNRTCC was conceptualized in 2022, and the whole idea was to create a platform where our exporters lead with the global community are able to showcase their products. What we do in the banking industry is to always try to meet the needs of our customers, and we could see that the exporters were struggling with, they didn't have a global stage on which to showcase their goods. We did so much initially in terms of capacity building. After that, the products were made, were put in proper quality, packaging and all of that. So the next step naturally is to take it to the global stage, especially if you focus on making world-class products.
Like they say, build it and they will come.
Yes, they will, don't worry about it. Build it and they will come.
All right, ma'am.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Merry Christmas. May every move you make this festive season radiate with joy. Glow Unlimited.
In most parts of the world, girl child are not recognized in a family. I hope all this problem holding down a girl child did not hold me down.
The idea behind the project is to identify schools that we think the parents are not economically empowered to sponsor their children to schools.
In demonstration of our commitment to reducing that number, we've come here today to provide some of the essentials that we believe would help the children in school. We worked with different schools in 5 states across the country, and we reached out to 15,000 children.
I want to be a food scientist, and Polaris Bank is helping me realize this dream. I'm perfectly excited.
When the world is spinning out, takes your feet off the ground.
For over 50 years, we continue to serve Nigeria with quality innovations. Now, let home feel like home with our range of inverter appliances that saves up to 70% on energy cost, giving you one less thing to worry about. Higher Thermocool, always there for you.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed last week alleged that the federal government is using the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to persecute him and officials of his administration because he refuses to defect to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Reacting to the governor's statement, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has described the claims as wild and far-fetched. The EFCC reiterated that it is an independent agency created to fight economic and financial crimes, adding that the commission is non-partisan and discharges its mandate without affection or ill will. Joining us on the show to set the record straight on Governor Mohammed's accusations is Wilson Uwujaren, EFCC's Director of Public Affairs. Good morning, Mr. Uwujaren. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us today on the morning show.
Good morning and compliments of the season to you.
Well, Wilson, same to you. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Well, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State says he's entitled to immunity. And why will a sitting governor who is entitled to immunity be subjected to harassment and investigation by the EFCC? He says also that he's been hounded because he has refused to join the ruling party, the APC, that is. And the third is finance commissioner who was arrested and detained by the EFCC, has no case to answer. Well, what do you say to all those allegations? And do you have, even if you have any prima facie case against Governor Bala Mohammed, as governor, he certainly cannot be arraigned because truly, as he claims, he enjoys immunity. So, what do you have to say to all of this? Although he says there will be war if the persecution continues. I don't know who is going to fight, whether it's the EFCC or it's the government of the day.
Well, thank you, Dr. Abati, for the question. As far as constitutional immunity is concerned, there's no debate about that. Governor Bala Mohammed has immunity under the Constitution, but I'm sure he's also reading that provision upside down. Constitutional immunity does not stop law enforcement from investigating any governor or even president and the vice president. There's no jurisprudence as it is that says EFCC cannot investigate Bala Mohammed, or that a charge should not include the name of a serving governor. We are not prosecuting Bala Mohammed. Bala Mohammed is not on the charge filed against officials of the Bauchi State governor. And the most important thing, as far as we are concerned, is the allegation that is making about alleged partisanship on the part of the commission. And we take great exception to that allegation, because if there's anything going for the EFCC, is the independence of the agency. In the over 20 years that we have been in existence, I don't think we have given any indication that we are politically biased in carrying out our duty. In fact, politics has no business, no place in the work of the EFCC. And like we said in the statement that was issued moments after he made that allegation, I think it was a little bit, with due respect to His Excellency, it was a little bit reckless to come out with that kind of allegation, especially the claim that the commission is acting at the behest of the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike. I thought that was a bit derogatory. Mr. Wike is the Minister of the FCT, and I don't think that the EFCC is a parastatal of the FCDA that the minister can dictate to. We are not an institution under the supervision of the FCT minister. And so it was a little bit shocking to see a governor making that kind of allegation that a minister is dictating to the EFCC. How? Where? EFCC, for the benefit of our viewers, does not take dictation from any political office holder. The law that established the commission, the EFCC Act, makes us an independent body. And Section 6 of that Act specifically states the mandate of the commission, the functions of the EFCC. If you look at the Section 6 of the EFCC Act, EFCC is set up to fight all economic and financial crimes. And there are a number of laws that the commission is set up to enforce. We can only come against you when you are in violation of some of those laws. Time will not permit me to list those laws because there are actually very many, and they have grown in terms of size and proportion since that law came into existence. But EFCC will not knock on your door except you are in violation of that law. And from the facts available to us, Nigerians already know the facts that we have placed before the court. The Federal High Court in Abuja, we have 2 charges pending before Justice Immunity at the Federal High Court. And the information is now in the public domain. People can assess the charge and decide for themselves whether what we have placed before the court is a product of vendetta or a product of careful investigation by the EFCC. And I think I should also make this point that politicians should leave EFCC out of their campaign. We are not in the political fray. People should not drag the commission into politics because we don't want to be there. We are not supposed to be there, and we will not be there. But the fact that you are in a political position should also not be an immunity from prosecution or from investigation if you violate the law. Okay. What should interest Nigerians is the fact that the commission is trying to enforce laws that will make sure that people who find themselves in position of authority don't dip their hand into the treasury and waste our resources.
All right,
and
okay.
That is the thing that I think should actually interest all of our citizens.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Wujaran. And we definitely applaud the work that EFCC has done and continues to do. What we want to see, like you mentioned, is people who are put in position in public trust then betray the trust by taking it out of the coffers. And that's all well and good. But the criticism around the politicization or perhaps the EFCC being a tool by administrations is not new. It's happened even in previous administrations. But in this particular one, the accusation is that in particular, the PDP has come under a lot of scrutiny. The kind of scrutiny that some of the current or previous governors or serving officials of the ruling party have not. A case in point is the difference in the way that the EFCC handled the Yahaya Bello case, and now Governor Bala Mohammed, one of his commissioners, is said to be in your custody. For instance, Mr. Yahaya Bello, I don't know what the update on that case is. I mean, he's even announced now that he wants to run again in Senate. Well, how do you juxtapose that? How do you defend the cause that you're not kinder or softer in approach with a particular person and rather than another who is in the opposition party?
Well, if you look at it, EFCC in the last few weeks or months have taken high-ranking members of the ruling party and charged them to court for corruption. And we have not heard any member of the opposition come out to say, why did you take those officials?
Who are some of these ones? Can you name some of them? Can you name some of these high-profile members of the ruling party?
I believe that as journalists, you are aware of that.
No,
but I can mention one.
Please, go ahead.
For instance, is a member of the APC. He was charged to court. And I also know that in December, a former Minister of Aviation, who many of you thought that the case had died, was also taken to the court for alleged corruption. Those are ranking members of the ruling party.
Some people would even say some of the ministers.
And there are also a number of them that also...
Mr. Wujaran, let me remind as well.
I'm coming there.
Okay, let me just chip in a name so you can continue answering. Like the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, for instance, is still under, I don't know if you conducted an investigation or so those are the kind of names and people that were accused, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Just give me time to learn. I'm coming to that. So we have taken on those ones, and I think we should run away from being trapped. I think the strategy that members of the opposition who are making all these allegations want to do is to use that to intimidate the EFCC, so that once you make this kind of allegation, somebody will say, no, don't touch members of the opposition. If you investigate them now, they will say you are going after the opposition. We should not force ourselves into a corner where we cannot, it will not seem as if once you are in opposition, you have immunity against investigation. That should not be. Anybody, whether you are in the ruling party or you are in the opposition, if you violate the law, if you are found to be culpable, the commission can move against you. You are talking about people that we have investigated who we have not taken to court. There are quite a number of them that we have investigated. The matters are not, it's not as if we have forgotten about them. I'm sure that the executive chairman has come out to explain why, for instance, issue of Betedu, for instance, has not gone to court. There is the former governor of Delta State, for instance, Okowa, we have investigated we have not taken him to court. There are reasons why these cases have not gone to court. For instance, I am aware, for instance, that in respect of Okowa, for instance, there are foreign angle of the investigation that we are looking at. Letters have been sent to our counterparts in foreign countries that we are waiting responses from them, banks in foreign countries that we are waiting responses that we have not gotten, which is the reason some of those cases have not gone to court. The same thing with Betedu. I recall my chairman explained that most of the bank accounts that we are investigating, there are over 40 bank accounts that the commission is looking at, that we have not finished those investigations. And if we say, okay, because people are saying, why have you not taken them to court? And you stampede us to take them to court. And then those cases are thrown out, the same media that is asking this question will also accuse us of not doing thorough investigation before taking those cases to court. Criminal investigation can take a long time, for instance, before you charge people to court. The fact that we have called you to interview does not mean that once you come to AFCC, the next day charges will be filed. But what Nigerians should know is that EFCC does not close criminal matters. And criminal investigation is not status bad. It can take a number of years, for instance, before you charge somebody, but that does not mean those cases are forgotten. I will give you one example. The case of the former NSTSF executive chairman, Ngozi Olojeme. That case, investigation began in 2015. And many people thought that we have forgotten about the matter. But last year, she was charged to court. So sometimes investigation can take time if you want to do thorough job. And that is the decision of the executive chairman, Mr. Ala Alukondi. He said he's not going to be in a hurry to charge. He's a lawyer. He said he's not going to be in a hurry to charge matters to court, except he's fully satisfied that we have all the ingredients that will sustain criminal prosecution in court. That is when we will go to court. But the fact that people are making allegations that you are targeting opposition political leaders should not be an immunity against investigation and prosecution of anyone who is found to be culpable in terms of criminal corruption-related allegations.
Oga Wilson, if you can hear me, I mean, it's quite curious to me that you're talking this way because this was not the strength and the gusto at which the EFCC chairman was speaking as regards the Yaya Bello case. From all the evidence and the bank transactions from all the schools, you said they paid money to that time, that we in the media helped you. You remember we spoke a lot about this case. And you people sent all your details to us. Nigerians are shell-shocked that till date, they have not gotten any traction as regards the case. Even the Okowa story. All of a sudden, once the pivot happened, we don't hear anything. You can tell us that, oh, the case, we still leave the case and we are looking at it. But the fact that Nigerians do not trust most of the things that are said, that's the curious part. Why, as at today, if not be able to nail the Yaya Bello investigation with the treasure trove of facts that the EFCC chairman did release as at that point in time? With all the transactions from the schools and everything, you guys were cocksure. And don't forget, you know, we worked together in the media, worked with you on that case. That's why we're asking you.
I don't think I got your question, Rufai.
Why have you people not been able to prosecute that Yaya Bello case with the treasure trove of certainty you had? You forget that the EFCC chairman even put his job on the line. Why till now? You cannot hear me? Okay, let's go for a break. We'll come back.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and if we're able to re-establish connection, we'll come back to you. Wilson Ujari, our Director of Information, EFCC. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Solar energy has improved the lives of Nigerians in the sense that we can have a cleaner environment and thereby preserving the earth for future generations. Our mission is to ensure we develop and deliver locally acceptable, contemporary, and innovative solutions in partnership with global organizations to ensure that we become the first and the trusted choice for Nigerians. So the option of having a solar solution at just 30% equity already ensures that you have money back in your pocket, because then you can then pay on a monthly basis over a period of time, which if you compare with the fact that you're also paying grid is actually more affordable over a period of time. Then you can have your access to power under your control at every point in time for up to 10 years.
Yeah, Oga Wilson Ojare, the question is, why have we not been able to nail the Yaya Bello case with the immense treasure trove of evidence that was shared with the media as far back as school transactions, the people that the monies were paid to, a certain school, the name of the people? Why have we not been able to nail that case as we speak? Why has there been like a lull on the case?
No, Rufai, I don't think there is a law, so to speak. It is one thing you need to do is you need to understand how criminal prosecution works in Nigeria. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Are you hearing?
I can hear you.
You need to understand how criminal prosecution works in Nigeria. It takes some time before you prove some of these charges in court. Like as I speak to you, the trial is still ongoing before the courts. We are presenting witnesses, we are presenting evidence. It is not the commission that is going to decide the matter. It's the court that will decide the matter. All we need to do is to follow the prosecution, how it's going on in court, and ensure that at the end of the day, both the prosecution and the defense get justice. But having said that, Yaya Bello, as we speak, is under trial, but the Constitution presumes that anyone who is under trial is presumed to be innocent until that case is proven. So whatever is happening to him within his party, that is a party affair. It has nothing to do with the FCC. It has nothing to do with the charge that we have filed against him.
But it does also
we owe Nigeria. The responsibility, I'm coming, please. The responsibility that we owe Nigeria is to be faithful to the charges that we have filed against him in court. And we are prosecuting those charges religiously. Nothing has happened, nothing has gone amiss in terms of prosecution of those cases. And we are committed to doing that.
Okay, you can say that, yes. You know, he has the right to still do a thing. But it looks like an indictment of the same government, that the same government, which EFCC is a corollary of the same government, you know, the same government that has pointed all of this out is the same government, the same, you know, leading party of the country that you are having these chummy moments with, that is even, you know, very close to them now. And that's why a lot of people are looking at. I would say he wants to run for Senate. But real quickly, what's the back and forth between the EFCC and Malami? What is transpiring? Because he too is saying a lot about you guys.
Very briefly, please.
Very briefly.
Well, Rufai, in terms of Yaya Bello, whatever the party does to him, that is the party's business. EFCC is not a political party. We are not interested in politics. Ours is a law enforcement organization, and we are enforcing the law, so to speak. We have nothing to do with what happens in the political realm. As regard Malami, he has been charged to court. He's been granted, I think the bail application will be heard on the 7th. Once the court decides whether he's granted bail or otherwise, we continue with the prosecution in court. All the other allegations that we are hearing him make, those are side talks. The issue of persecution should not even arise. What should interest Nigeria is that the allegation made against you, what is your defense? Have you committed any of those things? All those properties that have been showcased, they didn't fall from the sky. How did you get those properties, for instance? You spent 8 years as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. You didn't get those properties before coming to office.
Properties were not in the charges.
No.
They were not in the final charge. You see, that's the problem people have with EFCC. You do media trial, but in the final charge, all those over 200 billion worth property were not in the final charge. It was just, 1 billion here, 1 billion there, Montauk Auto and all of that. All the over 200 and something billion property that you guys were shut down were not in the final charge. So you will do media trial. That's what they're saying.
Excuse me, Rufai.
Yes, Malga.
No, Rufai, there's nothing like media trial. There's nothing like media trial. You are jumping the gun. Ours is a law enforcement. We have their own strategy. You are a journalist. There are issues that we have presented before the court. That does not preclude us from taking other actions. There are forfeiture proceedings, for instance, if you ask me, that may come up during the trial. But we don't have to reveal all our strategies to you. Yours is to report the case as they unfold.
Okay, thank you so much,
Have a happy New
Mr.
Year,
Awujare, and thank you for your time with us this morning. We continue to interrogate,
Thank
as
you.
you've
It's my-
established this morning, that EFCC is an independent organization away from politics. Thank you. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Rotus Odiri to give us updates on global business activities. Stay with us.
Good morning. Today's weather will be sunny with a high of 31 degrees.
Alexa, music please.
Playing workout music.
Striving for mastery? You need speed, precision, and clarity of purpose. They all add up. Talent is not enough. You've got to prove that you're able to take advantage of unlimited opportunities when they come. And to do that, you need plenty of data. Scratch that. You need unlimited data. And there's no better provider of unlimited data
Access granted.
than your all-powerful Glow router.
Whether home or office, enjoy unlimited data on a Glow router. Dial *312#.
You know, I've got unlimited eyes.
Glow Unlimited.
I'm still watching.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch. For easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
My name is Austin Azuko Kocha, but you all call me JJ. That's because I was so unstoppable, they named me twice. During my days as a professional footballer, I played as an attacking midfielder. No one could stop me, not even malaria, when mosquito bites. Now you too can be unstoppable if you use Lonat against malaria.
Lonat, a combination of Artemether and lumefantrine. Lonat, be unstoppable.
Every business creates data. Sales, payments, movements. Sparkle turns activity into information you can understand. And insights you can act on. Sparkle doesn't just show you what happened, it helps you decide what to do next. Download the Sparkle Business app today.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now for global business updates. Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Batsi. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning,
Rotus.
Good morning,
how are you?
Our viewers. Fine. We're kicking things off. So, what to watch this week? We should be getting the latest federal government savings bond offer from the Debt Management Office. They, released that at the beginning of every full week of the first month. The first full week of every new month in the year. So we should be getting that later today. Tomorrow, the Consumer
electronics show kicks off in Las Vegas. There's going to be a lot of updates around AI, Internet of Things, automobiles, and so on. So the best of the best from the US, Europe, and Asia will be displaying their latest electronics tomorrow in Viva Las Vegas. Wednesday, EU inflation for December, 2.1% was the last figure for November, this CPI. And, Christine Lagarde has said they're seeing inflation, steady as she goes over in the EU. So we'll see what numbers come out of that. And then it's jobs in the US. Thursday, we'll be getting jobless claims, ADP numbers, and then non-farm payrolls for January, this Friday. So a lot of the data coming out from the US. As far as commodities today, you'll notice that oil prices, in fact, they even fell. They haven't really moved much in reaction to what's going on. But you've seen gold climb about 2.2% in trading this morning. The whole geopolitical concerns around what's been going on in Venezuela. Look at silver. It's not back at its record levels of $75 an ounce. But you can see Brent crude still at the $60 levels, and also West Texas. The idea, of course, is that it's going to take a long time. I think Dr. Bati mentioned this morning, but Venezuela would only be adding barrels of oil to the market, which is already pretty saturated. So, of course, that is, the big news, and everyone is talking about oil infrastructure. So, this has, I think, already been mentioned. Venezuela is your number one in terms of reserves, oil reserves, 303 billion barrels. And you got Saudi, Iran, Iraq, your top 10, Nigeria there at the bottom there at about 37 billion, right? So, but the thing, of course, is that the challenges that Venezuela is facing is it's had major underinvestments in its oil and gas infrastructure. They basically chased out all the major oil and gas companies. I think Chevron is still operating there. Also, Hugo Chavez, before he died, woke up one morning and decided that he was going to rejig the production sharing contracts with oil and gas companies there, and drove out ConocoPhillips and drove out Mobil. They took them to a court of arbitration. ConocoPhillips got a $10 billion judgment against the government of Venezuela. ExxonMobil got a little over $1 billion. Since that time, and this happened around 2004, 2007, that has not been paid back. So, for a ConocoPhillips or an ExxonMobil, they're going to want their money back before they even decide to want to come back into Venezuela to do anything. And then, of course, for Donald Trump has said, yes, that, U.S. oil companies are going to lead the way. Chevron is there to an extent, but any government, any oil and gas company that wants to come back and produce anything is going to want to see stability, and they'll have to be signing any agreements with whatever government is there. So it's still a long ways away. And in fact, for all analysis out there, it's going to take 5-10 more years. Venezuela was doing about 3 million barrels per day in the 70s. I think they did barely 800,000 in November of last year. So, it's a long way to go with respect to what is going to happen going forward. Dr. Bati's chat, of course, with Zach Adidiji, head of the Nigerian Revenue Service, is something that's to be watched by everyone. So do go on our YouTube channel and watch that full chat. Dr. Bati has already laid out everything. Your focus right now, if you're a business owner, an individual, just file your taxes. That is what you need to know going forward, and you'll see the returns. I heard Ayo earlier talking about the need to not follow social media individuals who will mislead you. Taiwo Yedele on Friday addressed this very same video that we looked at here extensively. I'm not going to go over all the data, but word for word, he repeated everything we talked about. $2.15 for the poverty line. Don't use nominal exchange rates to calculate income. And he referred to the Bureau of Statistics Living Standard Survey that shows the poverty line at 131,000. So that he addressed that extensively. But again, as I repeat, for those of you out there, your own focus is just one, your tax ID number. If you don't have it, you can use your NIN to get it. 2, it's a new week. This is January. Track all your transactions that are coming in and out, and then file your taxes. As Zach said to Dr. Abati, everyone will see the tax returns and will see everything and compare to the prior year. Just file your taxes. That's all. That's the main thing, and that's all we have for today.
Okay, real quickly, going back to that issue on Friday, I don't want to belabor that issue, but also when you look at the calculation of the $2.15 as at when and what he was saying as well as at when the bill was written, It was $2.15. That was the international poverty line overarching rate. That $2.15 still goes beyond 1 million. And I think we have also belabored the fact that the practicality of 137,000 poverty line in 2019, when there had not been devaluation, is not practical in today's term. So
it's lower, right? So it's lower.
Lower than 137,000.
So you had, that was 2018, 2019, right? You had COVID. COVID threw 5 to 8 million more people into poverty, right? And you think about this, the exchange rate you had in 2018, 2019 was stronger than what you have today. So if anything, if you do that survey again, people today are poorer than they are back in 2018, 2019. Yes, now think about it.
You've devalued the currency. Yeah,
so the currency is weaker.
Wait, so the currency is weaker.
So you earn less.
And that's why you're having over hundreds of thousands. No, but also, what is it called? Your earnings go up.
How?
Listen, there's a bulk increase in your earnings.
From where?
Because, listen, have you forgotten that?
No, how you earn more? You say every day that inflation eats into your value. Okay, tell me how you earn more.
Have you forgotten that as of that 2019, your minimum wage was 30,000?
Okay.
What is your minimum wage today?
But the currency has been devalued by since that time.
It's increased. So why didn't it stay at 30,000?
Look, we're doing this again. We said we're not going to do this again.
Why didn't it stay at 30,000?
We earn less today than we did in 2018, 2019. You earn less. That's the point.
Your earning invariably is not 137,000 again.
It's less.
Adjusted for inflation, that money has gone up. Because, listen, adjusted for inflation, the money has gone up. But the value of what you have in that money is no longer tenable.
So you earn. So okay, my final point.
Can you allow other people to talk?
Go ahead.
People cannot monopolize.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I'll just speak very quickly on the tax law. And just because, of course, it's hot topic, we've shared the angle around what ought to be done and some of the politics around it. We shouldn't politicize the good, move. Unfortunately, we've seen what's happened. But in terms of the detail, and I'm glad that you highlight or spotlight small businesses and business owners, because a lot of times we talk about governance in businesses, especially small business who hitherto did not know how to file returns. When it comes to paying taxes, they defaulted just because of no lack of governance and structure around there. So one of the things I wanted to mention was the digitalization of a number of these processes, because the reason why some of them might not do it is because it's not easily accessible, it's difficult, it is bureaucratic. So when you want people to pay taxes, you have to also ensure that there's an enabling environment to ensure that it's easy to do so. So one thing that's been pushed a lot is to ensure that we digitalize a number of these things. Make sure you file your annual return. You can do it online on the FRS website. There's a portal for that. You can also go to your state revenue service offices to do that. But it's just to ensure that people don't come and say at the end of the year, I don't know. Just keep on educating people and businesses to know what to do with regards to the new tax laws.
Okay, very quickly. What does the arrest, the abduction of Venezuela's Maduro mean for the energy markets? Now, the implication is that now the Americans, they've blocked the entire axis of Venezuela. Vessels cannot come in, vessels cannot go out. So that uncertainty simply means that there will be no activity within that space. That's number one. The, oil exports will be halted. As at the last count, 550,000 barrels for export out of a total production of 950,000 barrels per day. In 2000 or so, it used to be about 3.5 million barrels per day. So the uncertainty will worsen. Now, however, Chevron is best positioned. But apart from Chevron and the other oil companies from the US that will go in there, you still have Russian investors there. You have Chinese investors. So all of that dynamics may have implications for the global energy market. However, if the Americans are able to install Maria Machado, the opposition leader, who has been behaving as if she's been positioned to take over, well, there may be some stability. But that stability will take time because infrastructure will have to be reinvented because they have decaying infrastructure. Creating a situation whereby Venezuela is responsible for just about 1%. However, gold and silver are doing well. After going a little down towards the end of 2025, investors are now looking for safe havens. So that's why, gold has risen again to $4,458 per ounce, and silver has also appreciated by almost 20%. Asia markets are not affected, whether it's in Hong Kong or Japan or China mainland or South Korea or they seem to be doing well.
Yeah.
And the reason is that they seem to think that the problem in Venezuela is far distant from Asia. But we'll see what happens in the oil market eventually. Near risks may be limited. But in the long run, if America takes over, there may be a glut in the market, and that may have implications for other markets that are interested in oil.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Stay with us.
For over 50 years, we continue to serve Nigeria with quality innovations. Now, let home feel like home with our range of inverter appliances that saves up to 70% on energy cost, giving you one less thing to worry about. Higher Thermocool, always there for you.
In this life, it's what you do behind that shows in front.
Give us the fire. Tell us more. It's Cosmo or nothing. Luxury or not. This is Cosmo.
That's why I roll with Cosmo deodorant. No sweat, no stains, no odor.
Now you know.
Cosmo Roll-On Whitening Deodorant.
All day freshness, 7 days a week from GVS Cosmetics.
Morning show here on Arise News. U.S. President Donald Trump over the weekend made good his threat to make the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, answer charges of drug trafficking and related offenses, as a select team of U.S. Special Forces stormed Maduro's highly fortified residence and arrested him and his wife and brought them to the United States for interdiction. The action of the United States has sparked outrage across the world, with the United Nations, Russia, and China condemning the action and describing it as an act of aggression against a sovereign. Joining us to discuss the issues of the U.S. aggression against a sovereign and Israel's sudden interest in Nigeria is the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, who turned 84 years old yesterday. He also touched on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issuing a strong warning against Christian persecution in Nigeria. Good morning, Prof, and thank you for joining us. And happy birthday to you. Congratulations. We didn't get the memo. I was tempted to come, but I realized that I didn't get an invitation. So I should not get crash. Well, happy birthday to you on the same.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Prof, there are implications, that you.
Happy birthday. 84 and
No. First of all, good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo, and good morning, Rufai.
Morning, Dad.
Now, and happy New Year.
Yes.
Now, when you get to my age, the party is the other way around. My pockets are empty at 84, so I'm expecting you to put
Fair
on
enough.
a party for me. So fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Let's start with Venezuela. And Trump.
Yes. This is not a good way to start a new year. It isn't at all. This is nothing but piracy, brigandage, a violation of international law, a violation of the Charter of the United Nations. There is no justification for it at all. Now, let's get one thing clear. The former president of Venezuela was not a good fellow. But then there are so many heads of states who are not good fellows in the world. And nobody has given authorization to either the United States or to go in and be the policeman of the world in dealing with matters like that. My fear is that nothing prevents now Putin from going in to Ukraine to pick up the president there. Nothing prevents China from now going into Taiwan and incorporating. I mean, there are so many of these things that could be duplicated. And in what type of the world will we be in? No, I think that Trump has done a very wrong thing and he should be condemned. I do understand, however, why some of his Western supporters will not be speaking with a tongue in their mouth because, you know, things are not really always that clear, that you don't want to go after, you know, someone who is stronger than you, and who is protecting you, and who has leverage over you. So I understand why the Prime Minister of Great Britain, even the president of several of the countries in Europe will be speaking mutedly in condemning what the United States has done. But this is a throwback to the time of, you know, piracy in the world. You don't go into you don't just do it. It's not done anymore. We're past that age. And I don't think we can, at least those of us who are on this side of the world and who are not as powerful as the powers to be, we must really speak out very strongly against what the United States has done. Number two, I mean, I feel really offended at the pictures that have been out. Okay, picked up the man, you've arrested him. Do you have to show us pictures of him in handcuffs, being blindfolded? You could, come on. Trump has behaved like a cowboy, really. There's no other word to use for it.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Akinyemi. I know that there have been a number of criticisms, especially amongst Democrats and people who believe in the tenets of democracy and the sovereignty of nations. But in some interviews, when you speak to some of the Venezuelans themselves, they have rejoiced at the fact that a man who is said to be a dictator in many regards has been removed from office. Would the U.S. have any justification at all, despite the criticisms, to have taken the action that they did? Then the other part of my question would then be, what do you envisage the response of other powers like Russia, China, especially with regards to their dominance in South America? What do you think their response will be?
Ayo, the first thing to get clear is, yes, the Venezuelans, some of them, probably most of them, are what I meant by saying that the former president of Venezuela was not a good guy. And he deserved, well, whatever it is that is, he deserved to be removed from office. But the action should be by the Venezuelans themselves. They shouldn't be counting on the United States. You don't go into exile in the United States or in, you know, whatever it is, and then be waving the flag because you are happy at what has happened in your country. You may come back to regret it. And in any case, Trump has just said he intends to make Venezuela a colony. We will rule it. Now, what Venezuelans want after all these decades, they should probably remember their fight for independence. So really, while I can understand why they are waving flags and they are happy, it is their job to remove their president. It's not the job of the United States. We should never give a superpower the right and the power to go into any country and remove the constituted authority there, or else you don't know when you will cross a line and they will say it is your turn, for us to remove. In any case, we're not talking about democracy. We're not talking about human. It's clear it's about oil, Venezuelan oil. And that's what has motivated this. Now, I'm not surprised that should be surprised that this has happened. Look at the amount of military hardware that over the past 2 months have been sent to that area. Do you think that they were going to turn around Christmas time to the United States? No, I was expecting this to happen. And it's unfortunate that there was nothing anybody could do about it. Neither the United Nations, neither whatever organization they have in that part of the world. There was nothing. Let us not kid ourselves. When we talk about sovereignty, sovereignty that is not backed by power is no sovereignty. I want us to get that clear, especially in this country where, I know legal sovereignty is one thing, but power sovereignty is another thing. And it is power sovereignty that overrides legal sovereignty. Venezuela has the sovereign power, and it was a sovereign power. But when it came to, it was a legal sovereignty. But when it came to power sovereignty, there was the United States that nobody could stop. And in reference to China and in reference to Russia, yes, I'm repeating myself, nothing now prevents Putin from going after Zelensky in Ukraine, and nothing prevents China from going into Taiwan and taking it over. Absolutely nothing. They've seen the precedent that has been set. Let me defend the United Nations. The United Nations was to countermine a superpower. It wasn't. The underpinning of the United Nations was collaboration among the superpowers in order to stop non-superpowers from creating havoc in the rest of the world. And that's why you had that veto power there. Without the veto, to the people who created the United Nations did not give power to the United Nations to countermine power. That's why the veto power was there. I think Dr. Abati question of Israel and Nigeria, that's another area we should keep on. It's not going to be that easy for Nigeria to design a policy that would address all of a sudden the newfound interest of Israel in Nigeria. The usual the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it's not going to work in this area. Israel has so many enemies that Nigeria does not want as an enemy. There are too many issues on which we disagree with Israel that Israel newfound in friendship with Nigeria is not something we should just say, okay. I will really suggest that top brains of Nigeria in strategic studies, in foreign policy areas, to really get together this week, if possible, and have a think over the way we should react to Israeli interest. All of a sudden, I am surprised. It caught me by surprise. And even after 1 week, say that I can say, this is what Nigeria should do. We, you know, when decade ago, some of us were advocating that Nigeria should come up with another blueprint of foreign policy as the anti-apartheid struggle was coming to an end, to keep Nigeria within the global world. I wasn't thinking of this kind of interest in Nigeria. Thought Nigeria will come up with policies that will make it a positive actor and not an object now of negative interests. I wasn't thinking about, and the time has come for us to have a good rethink of how we should react to the United States and now to Israel, who are showing interest in Nigeria because we have problems that they think they can help us to address.
Okay. I'd like to say happy birthday to you once again. Thank you so much, and God will continue to keep you. Cheers to many more years.
Thank you.
In all of this,
thank you.
I'll take you back to the early 1800s when President Monroe thought about his Monroe Doctrine, and maybe as of 1905 when they had, I think, the Roosevelt Corollary. As at that time, you had a Monroe Doctrine with a stronger Europe. So America was not going to interfere in Europe, and Europe was not going to interfere in the Western Hemisphere. But today, the dynamics of the world has changed. You have a Monroe Doctrine going on, but with a weaker Europe, where Europe cannot call a spade concerning what Maduro has done, concerning what Trump has done in Venezuela. What danger does this portend to the world?
Very grave danger. Very grave danger. You know, if this had happened, say, 10 years ago, when we had a unipolar world, this is after the disintegration of the Soviet Union, it should have been understandable. But with the increase in power of China, this is no longer a unipolar world. And why the United States should behave all over the world as if it can impose a Pax Americana is what we should be addressing. And I think that China should actually start to exercise the power that it has now in order to countermand the brigandage of the United States. It's unfortunate that the United States that had a Kennedy, that had an Obama, that had even a Clinton, should now have a Trump who marches all over the world. there are negative repercussions to the behavior and the body language of Trump and his advisors. When you watch that press conference that the Trump put on, it was Trump did this, Trump did that, we will do this. How can you stand there and say you are going to take over a country and that Cuba should watch out that it may be the next? This is, honestly, you remember that confrontation between Trump and the president of Ukraine, when Trump said, you know, you may be toying with a third world war. Well, it is Trump, actually, that may be toying with a third world war with what he has done.
Prof, okay, as we begin to wrap up, that leads me to the next question. Who can call Trump to order? He has violated the UN Charter. He has violated the Geneva Convention. He has violated the American Constitution. And those supporting him claiming inherent powers, they misunderstand the obvious meaning of inherent powers of the American president within the purview of the laws of the United States. So who can call him to order? Now that he says he will go after Mexico, go after Cuba, go after Colombia, is there any restraining mechanism?
Dr. Abati, we are all weaklings. We must simply accept it. We are all weaklings.
Even the U.S. Congress?
The Chinese, but this is the same U.S. Congress that twice impeached this man, but couldn't convict him because of his hold over the Republican Party. And his hold over that party is even worse now than at the time that he was impeached. So really, it's shown the weakness of the American Constitution. That Constitution is there. Congress was set up in order to countermand the recklessness of the White House. But it has just, you know, come on, Dr. Abati, is this not the way Hitler took over Germany? Nobody believed that that could happen. Nobody. And yet Hitler did. The same thing with, what's the name of that fellow in Italy? Mussolini.
Benito Mussolini.
Same thing he did. So really, yes. So Trump has simply shown us, not only with this episode, but with several things he has done, that he is now a Caesar bestriding the world. And the rest of us are like weaklings, quaking in our different, countries, and praying that this man is not going to lead us to a third world war. It is China, honestly, that I think has the capacity really to challenge him. I don't think China will do so because the Chinese don't want a development that is going to bring their own ascent into power to a halt. But it is China that has the capability to do so.
Not Nigeria, sir.
Nigeria?
Yes, sir.
Well,
we can even issue a statement, as Ghana has done.
Listen.
Ghana issued a statement. Where is our own?
Prof.
Well, look. Where is our own statement? Remember January last year, you asked me a question as to how our president should deal with Trump. This was when Trump has just been elected. And I said, whatever it is, our president should not do anything that will, I've forgotten the word I used at that time.
Provoke Trump.
So to provoke Trump. A very unpredictable man in the use of power. We have boxed ourselves because of our own internal security issue into a situation where Trump and Nigeria are not really reading from the same page. He has said that he will help us deal with our security system, our security problems. So we are not in the same position vis-a-vis Trump that Ghana is or that Prof. South Africa is. And I will repeat it, I wouldn't want anything that will make Trump, who has started to bomb us.
Prof, I just quickly want to give you your flowers.
Okay.
And when you said it in the 80s then that Nigeria needs its own nuclear bomb, everybody laughed at you. Maybe today, if we had that nuclear bomb, we could have been talking in the international sphere. So take your flowers, Prof. Take your flowers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My producer is a bit worried about Nigeria having nuclear bombs, but I'm sure you definitely are speaking from an informed place. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Again, happy 84th birthday in arrears, and of course, happy New Year. Time for a short break now. When we return, we'll have Aaron Akerijola. AFCON is still on live from Morocco. He'll be here with Global Sports Update. Stay with us.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
Merry Christmas. May every move you make this festive season radiate with joy. Glow Unlimited.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For updates on sports stories across the globe, we have Aaron Akerijola joining us from Morocco, where all the AFCON magic is happening. Good morning, Aaron.
It's a very good morning to you, Ayo. Good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you, Rufa. Today is the day of reckoning as the Super Eagles step into the ring for the round of 16 as they prepare to take on the Mambas of Mozambique. The Super Eagles haven't really played against the members of Mozambique in too many competitive fixtures, but this is a mile marker for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and even the finals. And yesterday they actually had their final training here in Fez as the players braved the rains to actually put themselves together, try to refocus, and more importantly, try to ensure that they can't crush the members of Mozambique, because as it stands right about now, any slip-up will be costly, knowing that this is the knockout phase of the Africa Cup of Nations. Let's get to hear from the players speak about this fixture and what to expect today, 8 p.m. Nigerian time.
I mean, the way we've been playing, I think we've started, if not all of our games, very well. I think we could take a big positive out of that first 45 against Tunisia and Uganda. I felt like we were very strong, very dominant. So it's trying to do that again and do that throughout the game and ultimately win the game.
The most important thing is the team. The team comes first before me. So I think I'm just focusing on playing with the team and everything. And I'm enjoying myself, because if you're playing with the team, then yourself will come out very well. So I put the team first, so that's why everything is happening the way it's happening today.
Yeah, what the Nigerians need to know is that this is a knockout stage. This is not group stage. This game is gonna be different ball game for us, and we are ready for it. We need to give our 100% focus for this game to get the victory Nigeria deserves.
I mean, the way we've been playing, I think...
victory that Nigeria deserves, and that was Calvin Bassey, Samuel Chukwueze, and defender Bruno Yemichi speaking ahead of that particular crucial encounter. They know the tasks are ahead of them, and they are all primed for today's game. I'll be looking out to see how things play out for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We'll know that this will be the easiest they will have it as we actually march towards the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. One thing has been a sticking point throughout the build-up to this tournament and in previous tournaments, and that has been remuneration for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Before the tournament, talks about the coach not being paid was also making headlines. And one man has decided to address this in this very short statement. Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, this is what he had to say about the remuneration and the coach being paid his wages up until the end of January.
The president approved since November 14, 2025, at least the funding and the budget that we need to prosecute the AFCON. So at least the president have done his own. And of course, the coach also. Even at that time, I don't know the coach have come to tell anybody or media that he's being owed. Yes, based on the releases of money and everything, that might be delay here and there on paying the coach. But since the coach came to Nigeria, the National Sports Commission took over the payment of the coach with the support of the NFF until they get a sponsor. And we have been doing the best that we can to make sure we support the NFF to pay the coach. Coming to this tournament, we make sure that all the money due for the coach has been paid before the tournament starts, and everything is okay. Everybody is happy as of now.
All right, let's run speedily through some of the results that actually came in yesterday. Of course, Cameroon, talking about the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, dispersed the Bafana of South Africa on the day with a superlative performance, putting aside all their off-field antics and problems to focus on that particular game. And kudos to them as they decided to defeat them. And they've moved to the next round. For the Bafana, they would have to try their luck next time. Save 1996. It has been close shaves. It has been nearly misses for the Bafana in South Africa. Now, quickly looking at the results. Host Morocco defeated the Taifa Stars of Tanzania yesterday, 1-0, with Brahim Diaz right now topping the goal-scoring chart with the Atlas Lion scoring in every single game they have played in this particular competition. The fans have been going crazy. The fans have been ecstatic with the performance of the Atlas Lions, but they have not been pulling up trees. As some people are saying that just maybe, because if the permutations are right, ceteris paribus, all things being equal, the Super Eagles at some point in the semifinals are likely to meet the Atlas Lions of Morocco en route to the finals. Let's see how that one plays out, but that's still far into the future. And let's talk about today's fixtures. Starting off things today, of course, we'll be having that particular, what some are saying is an easy game. All right, the Cheetahs going against the Pharaohs of Egypt. So let's see if Benin Republic can pull up an upset against the Pharaohs of Egypt, who themselves have been quite dominant in this particular competition. They've fallen on hard times. It's been a while they won the AFCON. I'm sure they will want to show title credentials, having gotten to finals after finals, and also been pipped by the Teranga Lions of Senegal. And the big one tonight, the Super Eagles of Nigeria against the Mambas of Mozambique, 8 p.m. All eyes will be on the Super Eagles. We've got the chops, we've got the pedigree. Now we need to deliver on it. And quickly, pictures and videos surfaced online yesterday of Anthony Joshua risking it and braving to attend the burial of Shino and his friend Latif yesterday in London at the London Mosque, where processions were made for him. And there have been talks about Anthony Joshua and his state of health. We know that some few days ago he left Nigeria to the UK, and he's doing well. Of course, I'm talking about physically, but his mental state is still questioned at this moment. And finally, the big one yesterday, and one of the matches of the weekend has to be that particular one.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea.
Anyway, well, thank you very much. Your good friend Tyson Fury says he's coming back in 2026, the return of the Mark. And I heard that our match this evening against Cameroon, all the referees will come from Cameroon. I hope they will be fair and balanced in their officiating.
How much against Mozambique?
A match against Mozambique. But the referees are coming from Cameroon. Cameroon should know that they are closer to us than they are to
brother and sister.
Mozambique. Anyway, the last time we met with Mozambique in 2010, we defeated them 3-0. I mean, history may repeat itself this evening. Thank you very much, Ruth Aaron. We take a short break now, and when we return, Anyezi Osakwe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
As far as your eyes can see, you can own it. Built on integrity, surrounded by nature, a place where you feel alive. With golf course, amusement park, artificial lake, sports centers, residential and commercial spaces. Be among the first to invest for greater returns and a new lifestyle. Utu exclusive. Live, play, relax. Invest today.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
As far as your eyes can see, you can own it. Built on integrity, surrounded by nature, a place where you feel alive. With golf course, amusement park, artificial lake, sports centers, residential and commercial spaces. Be among the first to invest for greater returns and a new lifestyle. Utu exclusive. Live, play, relax. Invest today.
I will be there by your side every moment day and night. I'll be there with you all the way, all the way. All the way, all the way.
Care changes everything with Avon. Avon HMO, empowering you to live healthier, fuller lives.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Anyeze Osakwe. Annie?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. So good to be with
Happy
you.
New Year.
Yes,
Amazing.
Happy New Year. First Monday of the year. Good to be with
No,
all
it's
of
the
you.
second Monday.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
Are
it's
we-
the first.
Yeah, it's the first of the
Oh,
year.
New Year's was just like, wow.
Exactly.
I spent like 3 weeks in January already.
Exactly. So
I can't believe it.
good morning to everyone out there. Thank you all for starting your day with us. And we know, as we said, we already rang in the new year, but it is the first Monday of a new year, of a new month. And we thought to start today's show with a few minutes just to think, to reflect about our aspirations, our goals, and resolutions for the year. So Ayo, I'll start with you. What are your New Year's resolutions, if any?
Okay, so I have goals for the year. I don't know if they would count as resolutions, what I hope to do, but I hope to actually do a lot more courses this year. I'd like to really do that. I also like to travel a lot this year. Thank you, Chairman, in advance.
Work-related or vacation-related?
Both.
Yeah.
I want to really, there's some courses I'd like to do. And then, of course, so yeah, learn more, gain more knowledge. More things I'd like to do.
Very good.
Awesome.
I love that. What about you, Dr.
No,
Abati?
I don't have any New Year resolutions.
Really? Nothing
Even
new?
if I have any new thing, that should be private. I don't think it's for television. The difference.
Do you feel the same way? Private or?
I'm not big on New Year resolutions. I mean, I do more of life goals. I have my life goals set up already, many years before now. So it's not every year is just a part of it. But I think if there's anything, I'll latch on. I'll take all my leave this year. Enough of working too hard.
Absolutely.
In fact, you are not telling us what we want to hear. Tell us what we want to hear.
That's how it works. You need to. So let me address that matter. Dr. Batisi, the way I see life, it's a very long journey. It's not something for the sake of status quo, like you want to be married or you have somebody with. Because the person you are with affects your destiny. And I know inherently what I carry is way beyond me. And I cannot allow just anybody soil it because of societal appreciation. So I am rapidly, let me underline the word rapidly, cautious about who I decide to spend the rest of my life with. So I want to have that decision, but I'm rapidly cautious because it's not a decision you can take lightly.
Wow.
That's so powerful.
Very powerful. Some words of wisdom.
I need to bring up
some words of wisdom.
Some copycats are saying in the gallery.
They agree.
They share the same sentiment. Please, keep your own resolution to yourself. Don't copy.
So let's now begin what's trending properly in Niger State, with communities there feeling shock, feeling anger and fear at the news of another brutal mass killing of scores of people on Saturday after armed terrorists attacked the Kasuwan Daji market in the Borgu local government area. Now, in a statement, Niger State Police spokesperson Waziu Abiodun revealed that terrorists swarmed the market, set it on fire, shot at random, and abducted an unspecified number of people. Now, he also revealed that a security team has visited the scene and that they're working on rescuing kidnapped victims. And that being said, it's still concerning that it's now not so clear how many people were abducted. Questions have also been raised about how the attack itself took place at 4:30 p.m., yet the police stated that they only received information about it 5 hours later, which was 9 on the same day. But quickly after that, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a Sunday post on his X profile, announced that he's calling in all the big guns on this attack, directing the Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense, service chiefs, and more to hunt the terrorists down and bring them to justice. So he stated in part, as you see on your tweet, on your screen, that these terrorists have tested the resolve of our country and its people. They must face the full consequences of their criminal actions, no matter who they are or their intent. They must be hunted down. He added that anyone who aids, abets, or enables them will be brought to justice. We must stand together as one and confront these monsters in unison. We must defeat and deny them any sanctuary, and we must reclaim peace for these communities. And then he added, may their souls rest in peace. So we saw some strong words from the president here, but a lot of people on social media have pointed out the fact that the president is not in Nigeria at the moment. Earlier on Sunday, he posted a photo on his X profile with the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, with some saying that, while discussions on world affairs are necessary, the country is clearly facing some serious challenges that require all hands on deck. And I think we have that photo of the two of them together, which had a little bit of controversy. Some people were saying that it was AI generated, but Bayo Onanuga recently debunked that and saying that they just essentially retouched a picture that was taken with their phones. So Dr. Abati, I'll come to you on this just to analyze the state of, terrorism in Niger State. The president isn't in the country, but he's put out a statement that he stands with the people.
Okay, first, the president's statement, there's a familiar ring to it. The same thing we hear all the time. The president says, people have been kidnapped, there's been violence in some part of the country, and then he gives the security chiefs their marching orders. The truth of the matter is that the challenge is still very real. But what I find in the incident in the Niger State is that the report that I read said these were persons, terrorists fleeing from the Sokoto axis, who now went to Niger State to cause havoc in Kasuwan Daji and also in two other villages, Chukama and Shanga. And that they operated for hours on end, and the security agencies were not anywhere to be found to come and help the people. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, about 40 persons were killed in the 3 communities, and women and children, were abducted and in a helpless situation. Now, one, the battle has not ended with terrorists, with bandits. But the curious thing there is that if it is indeed true that those persons who caused havoc in Niger State were fleeing from Sokoto towards Niger. Now, how come they were not intercepted? Yeah. If the security agencies were up and doing, I think it's foreseeable that with that attack on the Sokoto axis by the United States looking for terrorists in Nigeria, that the people will naturally, run away to other parts of the country. Now, we didn't have any containment strategy. We didn't have any mechanism to make sure that, those terrorists do not become a threat in other parts of Nigeria. Those are relevant questions in my view. Now, the other thing to realize is that Niger State probably has large landmass, ungoverned spaces, and a lot of ungoverned spaces, would make itself, will be readily available for this kind of havoc. And it is interesting that at this very time is when the Niger State government has now said schools that were shut after the attack on the Papiri, students, St. Mary's Catholic primary school and secondary school, now the state has said, all the schools that were shut down should be reopened. And then you the same incident again in Niger State. So what all of this calls for is greater vigilance, continued vigilance. So without the president even giving much orders to the security agencies, I mean, this should just be their work to continue to make this country safe for us. As for the photograph, I was wondering, Grok or what, and all of that. But the thing to say about that is, okay, Mr. Ononuga says they needed to, the photographer needed to upgrade the picture because he used his phone and the quality of what he got was not good enough. So he went to Grok. Now that AI answered all things with technology. So it was very convenient. So I think that is, explanation is important. However, you recall that when the president was traveling on December 28th, the statement that was issued by Mr. Ononuga simply said he was going to Europe. And that created a lot of confusion that, he will go to Europe and then he will stop over in, I think, Abu Dhabi. That he had been invited by the president of the United Arab Emirates to take part in the Sustainability Week, which, is a regular thing. Okay, but when the statement said Europe, people started speculating, which Europe? Europe is a country of, is a continent of 27 countries. So now I think they felt the pressure to say, he's in France. And he met with the president of Rwanda just to clarify that area. But I think initially, they should just have been transparent enough to say the president will go to France. But I think the pressure is because you, the commentariat of Nigeria, anytime you hear France, you start complaining that the president should relocate. Why is he always going to France and all of that? But, just saying it as it is would have saved us all this embarrassment of a photo opportunity to explain what should have been made clear before now.
Dr. Bassey, should we not be worried as well? And ask questions if there's a proclivity for a particular country by the president. Maybe does he love France? You know, when you said that many Nigerians were asking questions around that, around the fact that when they said the reason why they said Europe was that his frequency to France came on that question. So and it's fair enough, because if you like France, maybe it might inspire us to also go to France on holiday as well. What I'm saying is that it's a genuine concern by people, and people would ask questions. And like Dr. Bassey said, if they were going to release the information anyway, they should release it. It's just that sometimes this culture of silence and culture of opaqueness, which...
No, they were being rapidly cautious.
Cautiously.
to borrow vice praise this morning.
And as we talk about world leaders meeting, in another development, people around the world have been reacting and wondering what's next for Venezuela. We've been talking about it all morning and all weekend after U.S. President Donald Trump not only launched a series of strikes on the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, on Saturday, but also actually directed the capturing and airlifting of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and we have the video, out of the country on Saturday. Now, Maduro is behind bars at a Brooklyn detention center in New York and was seen in a number of images over the weekend in handcuffs, even stopping to say Happy New Year in this next clip we'll play for you.
Good night. Happy New Year.
Now, these are some of the images that have really captured the world's attention, including right here in Nigeria. So we have a new video circulating online on Sunday showing a protest reportedly taking place in Abuja by a group identified as Nigeria's Venezuela Solidarity Campaign. Let's watch.
Take over, free all oppression, then go run away. When people take over.
Viva Venezuela!
Viva!
From the Venezuela Solidarity Campaign in Nigeria, a campaign platform of socialists, trade unions, civil society, youth group, workers from the informal and informal sector. We bring solidarity to the people of the Venezuela working class and the Venezuela working people who are passing through aggression from the United States empire.
I'll take some quick reactions from social media. This first tweet from Chris said, bold stance. But quick question, when did Nigeria become the new HQ for Venezuelan foreign policy? Not mad, just curious how solidarity travels farther than accountability these days, or is this just about vibes, not borders? Another person said, this protest is misplaced. Nigeria faces insecurity, hardship, unemployment, inflation, failing infrastructure. Our energy and activism should focus on fixing problems at home, not protesting foreign issues while Nigeria itself is in crisis. And one last tweet said, LOL, or laughing out loud, what affects or concerns Nigerians the most they won't protest, like the new tax laws, but what doesn't affect them or concern them, you'll see some of them protesting. And Rufai, I'll come to you on this story. I mean, you have all been discussing Venezuela. It's such a big story, but now Nigeria's part of the conversation too, apparently.
But they have a right of protest, and I support their protest, funny enough. I support their protest. Because you have problems with tax laws and everything, does not mean that you are insulated from the international world. And what happens in Venezuela doesn't affect you. It affects you one way or the other. The international world order has been upended, and we're looking at it. And some people are being sentimental about it. So it affects you. This is the beginning of something we don't know where it will end. A president has taken unilateral action against a nation. The same Trump criticizes Putin for invading Ukraine. What he's done, is it different from what Putin has done? So what we're having is an international world order of brigandage. And it has come to stay. And we live in a very scary world. And Europe is very weak. You can see à la France, Macron, sulking up to Trump. You can see Keir Starmer. When Lauren Kusenberg asked the question, I couldn't see anything. So we must be able to speak. And Ghana has led the way by saying we do not support this. Will Nigeria be able to say that? No, now, we are just having partnership with US and they just gave us an airstrike and all of that, which in turn, as some claim that has caused the level of insecurity because the people moving up to Niger. But the question is, didn't our security forces do reconnaissance? Where's the information? How do you nip them in the bud? Do you use technology to even tap these people and plan their action? Didn't any intelligence see this coming? And they could kill 30 people? And it's not today, President Tinubu keeps saying, okay, the security forces will go after these people. We've heard a lot of that in the past, but nothing happens. It continues. Insecurity has a foothold. We commend them when they do well, when they're able to bust these people, but to a large extent, we see them go ahead and perpetrate their actions. Coming to the president, what do you expect? President Buhari was constantly in the UK. Somebody even boldly told us that his doctor had been there for so many years. President Tinubu has not declared what he's going to do in France, but if you check his flight records, I'm sure he's gone to France more than any country. So you see, Africa is not free. All of our leaders keep going back to their colonial masters. Why have we not built a country where the healthcare system can work? But in fact, let me shock you. Our healthcare system used to be so good that the Saudi royal family used to come and get healthcare here.
What year was that?
In the 70s. UCH in Ibadan was voted one of the best hospitals in the Commonwealth. But guess what? We have squandered our riches. So all of a sudden, we are now going on medical tourism abroad, where we used to have hospitals here that were highly competitive. There was a doctor here that came, I think from the Duchess that was talking to us that time. He said in his time, I think in the 60s or 70s, people used to leave Canada to come and have their children here. This same country had power supply before some places in Ireland. But that same country was a beacon of hope as eroded. And when we talk about the fact that we want Nigeria to be great, the emergency levels of Nigeria say we are demarcating the country. Just like we are seeing brouhaha. Should they even use phone to take a picture between two presidents in the first place? Abi, was I hearing that?
No, it's technology. I mean, the world has evolved.
No, but was there a professional
yes,
cameraman?
maybe
So
it was
what-
just it was an informal.
An informal. So
yes,
what's
and
the
they thought it looked
quality?
nice.
What's the quality? Control of an official presidential. I mean, if you know the quality was not good enough and you're going to use AI to alter it, you will have just given a disclaimer that it was spruced up with AI to save all this controversy. You think we're not going to know? And I mean, is the presidential photographer not supposed to have a salary to his work or accompany them to his work?
They do follow them. I think maybe.
And
just
if
the
they were
friendly-
meeting, even if they didn't follow them, couldn't you have gotten an official photographer somewhere down the road in Paris? Then Grok was used to take the was used to spruce up the picture, and we're not giving nota bene in advance. And now we are now reactive. And when people talk, the emergency lovers of Nigeria will say we are demarketing the country. We don't see anything good in the country. In fact, the problem is we love the country too much, and we don't understand how deplorable the country has become over the years because we see potential. People like me think Nigeria can actually be a superpower. You can call me delusional, but that's what I think. That if we get leadership right in the next couple of years, Nigeria can actually be a superpower. That's what people like me think. Call me delusional and everything. I am, let me use my word again, rapidly optimistic about the prospect of this country. Up to the point of a level of, delusion. But when I see that not meeting reality, when I see contestations about tax bills and things like that, when I see presidential picture being spruced up and there's a need to shalaye, when I see all sorts happening, I say this is not the greatness I envisage for my country.
Yeah, and to that point, it's a perfect segue to our next story, which is about politics, with the national leader of the New Nigerian People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, trending on social media after a video of him emerged where he said there's no chance of him defecting from his current party unless he's offered the president or vice presidential ticket in 2027. Now, the NNPP leader made these comments while speaking to his supporters at his home in Kano on Saturday. Let's take a look.
Muna sa rai mu samu jam'iyya wacce za mu haɗu da wasu ko ɗan NPP ce ko ce. Amma abin da muke so na fari shi ne wanda za su yarda ni na bi Kwankwaso in hau kai ko da lamba ɗaya ko da lamba biyu.
Now, something that also stood out was how he emphasized NNPP being a party committed to its political ideology, which is set to, prioritize supporting the poor, young people, healthcare, which you don't often hear that often, the ideology behind the party and why politicians want to align themselves in a particular camp. And I'll take one reaction before coming to you, Ayo. This person said, so the entire party building process has now been reduced to give me the top job or don't bother. Incredible. At this point, it's less politics and more a VIP table reservation. No ticket, no conversation.
But to be in fairness to Rabbi Kwankwaso, he's just being real. If he's going to go to a party, he has such a political history and a large following in Kano State and in some parts of the north. I don't expect that, except he's lying to people. So saying that, you had to have a seat at the table, just to address that. But now this rules out the APC, of course, because we know that in the APC there's no vacancy currently, at least for now. So he's not going to be defecting anytime to the APC. I mean, what he was just doubling down on the fact that he's remaining in the NNPP, and this is coming on the heels of conversations and chatters last week that he and his governor, Abba Yusuf, were going to potentially going to defect to the APC, and people have started responding to that. He himself has now come out to say that he's not looking at that, and if he does, then it would be to a party that's going to give him a particular, position, which we now know rules out the APC, the ruling party. I'm glad you touched on also ideology, and we need to keep on emphasizing that. Yes, we know that that's not the norm in Nigerian politics, but we shouldn't now make what should be the absurdity or the exception to be the norm. And so it's good to hear people like him talk about the ideology of a party, talk about why he believes in the ideology of a party, why he will not sell out his followers for personal ambition, as we see a lot in the political sphere. But at the end of it all is that 2027, the race has begun in earnest, all hands on deck. Even Mr. Peter Obi, when he got to the ADC, said himself that he was not going to, even as a vice, he was going for the top job, and he was very clear about it. So people are being now very clear about where they stand, what they are looking forward to. And I believe that it's in best taste, be honest with your base, be truthful, and not be here and there in terms of your ambitions. It's okay for him to say what he wants to say. At the end of the day, we keep emphasizing the vote and the power lies in the ballot of the Nigerian people. And that's why we keep on encouraging everyone to register, participate, your civic engagement, vote. All, politicians can say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, they cannot get there without the vote and the support of people who vote massively for them.
But quickly, Dr. Kwankwanso's statement, speaking to his supporters, should be placed against the background of the recent declaration by the governor of Kano State, whom you may consider his protege, saying that he was planning to go to the APC, or people speaking on his behalf that he may likely go to the ruling party. Dr. Kwankwaso used that occasion in his residence in Kano to tell his supporters that he does not support the idea of Governor Abba Yusuf going to the APC, and that if he's going to go against his own advice, he should be told that the position of governor that he got to on the platform of the MPP, he should also leave that behind, because he doesn't think that it makes sense for him to leave the NMPP, where he won the governorship position with his own support, and then go and join Ganduje, who is his rival in the same Kano State. And, that was the bigger thing that I think he was talking about. The other thing, of course, is that, okay, if NMPP is going to merge with any other political party, he must be guaranteed the position of either the president or the vice president, which then raises the question, can Dr. Kwankwanso just say he will be glad to serve Nigeria, regardless of position? So you see many of our politicians, is either you give them the big position or you give them what they want. It's also about personal ambition. I think that politicians should talk more about Nigeria, making Nigeria better, making Nigeria great again as the main objective, rather than the positions that they are looking for. But as for Governor Abba Yusuf, I hope he heard what his political leader has said about changing political camps. But of course, the governor has not yet formally declared for any other political party.
Manga, make Nigeria great again.
Exactly.
That's it, manga, yes.
And we'll keep watching that. But now let's switch gears and head over to Kwara State, where police are investigating the burning of a house of a woman identified as Mrs. T.A. Olorisha. In a new video circulating on social media from the user Benny Lee, the woman, who practices traditional religion, accuses her neighbors of burning her house after months of threats, opposition, intimidation ever since she moved to the predominantly Muslim area. So until now, she had dismissed the threats altogether, but on New Year's Day, she left her house and later got a call that her house was on fire. Let's watch.
Àwọn community ló pè mí, á ní àwọn aláǹfààní àwọn ò fẹ́ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ nísàlẹ̀ kókò. Ẹbí ìbá sì fi ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ kalẹ̀ àwọn wà sùn lèmi níná. Mo sì lọ ilé ọdún, wọ́n sọ tán ni mo lọ ilé ọdún lọ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ nílùú mi, ní í ṣe ńlẹ̀ yìí o, ìlú mi ni mo ti ń sọdún mi. Mo lọ ilé mọ̀ ní màá ilé ìyẹ́ darí mọ̀ ní á pè mí lánàá pé lé ti ń jóná o ti sọ náà sílé mi o. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Nàìjíríà ẹ gbà mí o. Ẹ gbà mí o. Ẹ gbà mí ọmọ Nàìjíríà ẹ gbà mí o. Ẹ ràn mí lọ́wọ́ ẹ gbà mí, ẹ má jẹ jìyà igbe o. Ẹ má jẹ jìyà igbe ẹ gbà mí o. Ẹ má jẹ jìyà igbe o. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ẹ̀yin ìbílẹ̀ dìde o. Ẹ má jẹ kí ìyà jẹ mí gbé o. Bí ìyà bá ti jẹ mí gbé ẹ̀yin tá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ojú tì yín o.
Now, on Saturday, the Kwara State Police revealed that 3 people, Alhaji Salihu Saka, Alhaji Abubakar Salihu, and Alhaji Yekini Olohutinle, are currently in police custody and being interrogated. They also reiterated their commitment to protecting lives, property, and rights of all residents, regardless of their religious and cultural beliefs. This was an interesting story. A lot of people have been talking about it on social media, Rufai. I'm not sure how you think we should be reacting to this, the fact that this woman's house was burned.
For me, I'll say Isheshe lives matter. We cannot have a society where people's rights are trampled upon based on their choice of their religion. If you hear this woman's story, she said they had first raised concerns that she cannot come to that community and do Isheshe. Who said so? Then she went for a Isheshe celebration, and she came back and she saw her house burned. Please, the government must investigate, and the culprit must be brought to book. You cannot destroy or commit arson because she has a right of expression. As you have your right of expression to your own religion. People have the right of expression to any religion. You can't call people out. The other day, I was in DC. Where I was staying was not far off from where the Church of Scientology started. Do they not have right to their creed? So because you don't believe in what they are saying, does it mean you should now go and burn their property? This is a crime according to the law. This is arson. And I've always been somebody that I've advocated for the rights of traditional worshippers. Isheshe, they must be given their pride of place. Because see, you have Christian holidays, you have Muslim holidays. Isheshe holidays, when they say, okay, give it as a public holiday there, people are dilly-dallying and all of that. Why? It's our own African traditional religion. I'm not an adherent of the religion, but I would do anything to defend the rights of the Isheshe people. And it's not today. The victimization of Isheshe people have been happening, especially in that same place this thing happened. Nobody has the monopoly autonomy of religion. Please, they must investigate. The culprit must be brought to book. They must be allowed to worship.
Okay, just two things. First, what we're dealing with is religious intolerance. And we must continue to preach religious harmony. The second thing is that you have the right to your own belief under Section 38 of the Nigerian Constitution, which deals with freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And nobody should be persecuted for, following any kind of religion. Finally, what you have seen in demonstration is impunity. These three gentlemen had been interrogated before by the police because the woman had previously reported at the police station. And they told them that the woman has the right to worship whatever she wants to worship and live anywhere she wants to live. And yet they still went ahead and applied jungle justice. They should be made to face the full wrath of the law once their guilt is probably established.
So now we will turn to our milestone report, where today, January 5, we're celebrating, we spoke about him earlier, the 63rd birthday of Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a statement emphasizing the governor's modesty, integrity, and commitment to public service. Now, Governor Yusuf was born in 1963 in Gaya local government area of Kano State, and his early Islamic education was done under his grandfather's tutelage, Al-Haji Yusuf Bashar, who actually served as the district head of Gaya. But the governor's real entry into the world of politics began when he served as his personal assistant to Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, when he was governor of Kano State. By 2011, when Kwankwaso was re-elected as governor, Yusuf was appointed as the Commissioner of Works, Housing, and Transport. In 2022, he made the critical decision to switch parties from the PDP to the New Nigeria People's Party, and just 1 year later, in 2023, he was elected as governor of Kano State. Now, in a statement yesterday in Abuja, President Tinubu described Governor Yusuf's administration as evidence of disciplined leadership with a deep sense of responsibility to his people, adding that his style of governance has reinforced Kano as a center of progressive politics in northern Nigeria. From everyone at Arise, we wish Governor Yusuf a very happy birthday. Happy birthday to the governor.
Allah Kabir Yusuf.
Yes, and we will take, I know we're running out of time, but we'll take our final story under entertainment with the two-time Grammy nominee Ashake lighting up the stage this Saturday at the Gold Rush Dome in Johannesburg, South Africa. The show itself was part of the Afro Future curated by Culture concert series, with Ashake performing some of his most loved songs, including Organize. Let's watch. We love it. Congratulations to Ashake on another great show, and I'm being told that that's one of Rufai's favorite songs, Organize.
Yes.
From Nigeria to South Africa to the world. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you.
And that's all on today's edition of the morning show. Rotus Odiri is up next with Global Business Report, and he will be speaking to Dr. Carol Nakle, Chief Executive Officer of Crystal Energy. Stay with us. This is still the Arise News Channel, your global standout news channel.
In most parts of the world, girl child are not recognized in the family. I hope all this problem holding down a girl child will not hold me down.
The idea behind the project is to identify schools that we think the parents are not economically empowered to sponsor their children to schools.
In demonstration of our commitment to reducing that number, we've come here today to provide some of the essentials that we believe would help the children in school. We worked with different schools in 5 states across the country, and we reached out to 15,000 children.
I want to be a food scientist, and Polaris Bank is helping me realize this dream. I'm perfectly excited.
Good morning. Today's weather will be sunny with a high of 31 degrees.
Alexa, music please.
Playing workout music.
Striving for mastery? You need speed, precision, and clarity of purpose. They all add up. Talent is not enough. You've got to prove that you're able to take advantage of unlimited opportunities when they come. And to do that, you need plenty of data. Scratch that. You need unlimited data. And there's no better provider of unlimited data
Access granted.
than your all-powerful Glow router.
Whether home or office, enjoy unlimited data on a Glow router. Dial *312#.
You know, I've got unlimited eyes.
Glow Unlimited.
I'm still watching.
Monday morning talking about renewal and meetings.
Starting and growing a business can be tough,
Debits?
especially with insufficient funds.
This business is becoming too expensive. My children need to start feeding me.
All these figures are not smart.
At Axis Bank, we love SMEs, from business loans to flexible cost savings account. We've got the solutions to help your business thrive. With our Diamond Business Advantage account, you can easily access financial support, business tools for growth, business loans, and opportunities to meet and interact with other business owners. Dream big and elevate your business to the next level. To learn more, visit www.accessbankplc.com/business/SME-banking or walk into any of our branches to get started.
Coming soon to over 500 million smartphone users and 1.5 billion voices. Leke, the social platform for the world, out of Africa. By the founders of Arise and This Day Media Group, we're going to be launching with a big bang. a new homegrown social platform born in Africa and built for the world, blending community, culture, and cutting-edge AI. It's fast, culturally rooted, data-friendly, and designed to scale globally. A digital platform for youth, creators, and business. A one-stop shop to connect, share, create, and earn. It's time to end social media imperialism. This is Leke Leke, a voice for all.
Feel the pulse of the planet. From New York to Nairobi, London to Lagos. Our world is connected. Our stories intertwined. Join us as we navigate the news that shapes our lives. News through the voices that live it, the experts that make sense of it, and the leaders that shape it. Our network of correspondents around the world ensure that you don't miss a thing. Trust us to bring you unfiltered news, deep dives, and powerful conversations. The world never stops, and neither do we. Every second counts, and every story matters. Give us 60 minutes, and we'll give you the world.
You're watching Arise, the world's standout news channel. Arise News, awards, and beyond.
Welcome to Arise News. You're watching the Global Business Report. Rodo Sidiri here. We're in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. And, well, we already know what the headlines are, don't we? Venezuela's oil industry. What happens next following the capture, the arrest, the kidnapping, whatever you want to call it, of President Nicolas Maduro by the Trump administration? We'll have a special guest to talk about that. Still on oil, OPEC Plus has kept its oil output steady. Analysts are saying we're still going to have a glut in 2026. Oil prices, of course, falling year on year in 2025. And then the head of the Nigeria Revenue Service, no longer the FIRS, new tax reforms, an exclusive conversation with Arise News. We will bring you that in the show as well. It's a Global Business Report. Do stay tuned. This is, of course, the focus. Venezuela, number one when it comes to oil reserves, according to figures from OPEC, 303 billion barrels. But output is very, very low. What is going to happen to Venezuela's oil industry going forward? U.S. President Trump has said that the U.S. will oversee, will quote unquote control Venezuela's oil industry going forward. What exactly does that mean? Will we get investment back? We have a special guest to discuss that with Dr. Carol Nahle, who of course is the CEO of Crystal Energy. She joins us from London. Dr. Nahle, it's good to see you again. Happy New Year. I guess I wanted to, beginning with what's been happening here, what is your assessment of Venezuela's oil industry as things stand now? Just want to make sure that Dr. Nahle can hear me. Let's check, get out. Dr. Nahle, can you hear me?
Sorry, I cannot hear you. I'm just trying.
bits and pieces.
Okay, I'll try again. I heard you just now. So once again, Happy New Year. I wanted to get your take.
The connection is very, I don't know, I cannot hear you. I was hearing you properly earlier. I cannot hear you now.
Okay, we're going to fix that in just a moment. Once again, we're discussing the future of Venezuela's oil industry following the weekend capture, kidnap, arrest of Nicolas Maduro, and Venezuela's oil industry, of course, is now in focus. There's your top 10, according to OPEC. So Venezuela at number 1, 303 billion barrels. Now, this, of course, is oil reserves measured in barrels, right? Saudi Arabia is in second place at 267. Iran in third at 209. Iraq is in fourth place at 145 billion barrels. You've got the UAE in next after that, and then Kuwait. So a heavy glut of Middle Eastern nations in that top 10. Then you've got UAE, Kuwait, Russia at 80 billion barrels, Libya at 49, the USA at 45, and Nigeria rounding out the top 10 at 37. Now, of course, Venezuela has a number of challenges that it faces, and we talked about this on our flagship morning show, the first of which is the major underinvestment, foreign direct investment coming into Venezuela, particularly under the administration of Nicolas Maduro and Hugo Chavez prior to him. Those, of course, have been a topic of discussion because, well, oil majors, save for Chevron, have left. ConocoPhillips, you can see on there on the screen, did get a judgment, a $10 billion judgment against the government of Venezuela, and that is following former President Hugo Chavez, who is now late. Between 2004 and 2007, he basically just renegotiated the contracts of the oil and gas companies that were operating in Venezuela. ConocoPhillips was impacted, so was ExxonMobil. They exited the country and then took the country to the Court of International Arbitration and got a judgment. ConocoPhillips getting about $10 billion. ExxonMobil getting a bit over $1 billion. And since that time, only a fraction of those funds have been paid to those particular oil companies. So you can imagine that before a ConocoPhillips or an ExxonMobil decides to operate again in Venezuela, there's going to be a question of whether or not they will be compensated for prior losses during, of course, the issues that they faced when they were operating there after President Hugo Chavez renegotiated those contracts. Now, commodities have been reacting, and I think we'll start at the bottom of the screen here. First off, Brent crude, you can see it at $60.33 in early trading this morning. West Texas Intermediate, that's North American grade, at $56.86. Now, the thinking is that, well, Venezuela, if you somehow restart production, oil production, and increase oil output, and by the way, I should point this out, Venezuela was doing about estimated 800,000 barrels in November of last year. They're only going to add to the already what is estimated to be a supply glut of oil in the markets. And so that's the reason why prices haven't really responded, because you're just going to be adding to more supplies. Gold, however, jumping by 2.29% in trading. In fact, let me point this out. Brent crude, West Texas, falling by over 20% in 2025. We mentioned OPEC holding on to its estimated output. OPEC, of course, has been adding its initial cutback on oil supplies. In order to support prices, it started adding that back to the markets. And gold, again, up by about 65% in 2025. Silver up by about 148% in 2025, both of which, of course, climbing. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a technical issue with Dr. Carol Nachle. We'll have to fix that at a later time and get her back to get her insights on what's been going on. But just to continue the conversation, those particular commodities have been a lot, as far as oil is concerned, falling early trading today, gold climbing, silver climbing. There's a whole safe haven conversation around that. But let's get to this. Let's get to Nigeria now and taxes. It's 2026. Tax reform has taken place. And the National Assembly, of course, passing those 4 acts. It's gazetted. The law is now going to be implemented. We've said to our viewers over and over again, file your taxes, all right, so that you can see what your deductions are going to be this year compared to last year. Here is the executive chair of the Nigeria Revenue Service, no longer the FIRS, Dr. Zaccheaus Adedeji. Here is his full conversation with Dr. Reuben Abati on the new tax laws that have taken effect.
Good to see you, Dr. Adedeji. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, good to have you granting us interview on Arise News, Dr. Zach Adedeji, the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service. We'd like to wish you a very happy new year, and thank you for agreeing to talk about tax administration and other related issues with us on Arise News. And very quickly, in the highlights in this document, the Nigeria Tax Reform Act in the prefatory section, we're told that, look, this is the whole idea of the reform and the tax reform acts, 4 of them, is to build trust among the Nigerian people, and that the tax reform is for the benefit of all Nigerians and all concerned. But there have been controversies about the credibility, the legitimacy, the transparency, the accountability of the process leading to this official gazette that I just showed. How concerned are you about those controversies?
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. And I wish all our taxpayers, and by extension Nigeria, compliment of season. Just to start from beginning, tax reform is one of the promises made by Mr. President from his inaugural speech, because we've all seen from beginning that the fragmented tax system we have cannot sustain the kind of development that Mr. President envisioned. And that is why from beginning, he made it point of duty that we need to start early to reform the tax system, which is the real foundation for any sustainable economy in the world. And that is what Mr. President has done. Remember that he set up the committee headed by Taiwo Oyedele, spent 1 year for consultation with various groups, which I know you are also part of it in those periods, and gathered the data and normal process, put a plan together after receiving the blessing of Mr. President, sent to the National Assembly, and all the process of lawmaking were followed, which then was not in secret. Public hearings, regional engagement, and stuff. And all those were done, which ended in June, when Mr. President assented to the bill as presented by National Assembly and get gazetted and given to us. Now, when you talk about controversy and everything, like happened with all change in the world, because you have certain people that prefer the status quo, you have some people that they just don't want you to succeed. So all those things are expected, and there should not be anything that should distract us from the real focus of the reform. So if you ask me, we don't have any controversy whatsoever, because the Nigeria Constitution stipulated what each arm of government should do. And then in this instance, I think that has been properly done. So as of today, we have the gazetted law as passed by National Assembly, which is so duty of us as revenue administrator just to implement the law as given to us by National Assembly. So we don't have any issue, and we are not distracted by those controversies. It is good concern, as you know, that is very difficult for people to part away with their income, which unfortunately that is part the tax belong. But in one summary, the whole essence of reform is to taxing right, not taxing more. We just want to tax right, fairness, transparency, and then consolidated the whole system in order to simplify and unify the process of revenue administration.
Okay, there will be many Nigerians out there who agree with you about the necessity of reform. But the key argument is that people are saying that the process itself is compromised. Now, a certain Honorable Abdul Samad Dasuki, PDP Sokoto, stood on the floor of the House of Reps and said, as a matter of privilege, he had looked at what was officially gazetted and what was passed by the House, particularly, and that there were discrepancies, alterations, deletions that will give more powers to the Nigeria Revenue Service, that will bypass the authority of the courts, that would violate even specific sections of the Constitution. For example, in order not to take too much time, take, for example, Section 23 of the Nigeria Revenue Service Act, now dealing with reporting obligations. Now, the allegation by those who have looked at the subject is that that was altered. Now, similarly, Section 30, subclause 1. Similarly, Section 60, sub 1, and also Section 60, sub 4 to 6. All of these dealing with court order, legislative oversight, and also the powers of the Nigeria Revenue Service, and also particularly whether or not if a taxable person making an appeal, can part with 20% of the revenue in question. I think that's under Section 39. And then in the gazetted version, we're told may or may not. And, people are saying, to the extent that the executive will seem to have modified the harmonized bill by the National Assembly, then it means that those laws are questionable.
No, like I said earlier, I don't want you to delve into those rumors.
Rumors?
Yes.
No, these are the Nigerian people talking.
Excuse me, Nigerian people. And that is the point I'm making, that we need, if we want to run a nation, we need to stick by the rule and make sure that we have verified facts on all these forms of allegation. I just explained to you, the process of lawmaking is very clear. When the president assented to any bill, goes back to the clerk, get it gazetted, and give it to us. For example, all this comparison that you are mentioning now, honestly, I don't know where you find it, because nobody except National Assembly has right to the vote book. And they are the one to give us the gazetted, which if you read paper 3 days ago, they've released the gazetted law as passed, which is the only thing we have. So when you talk about the executive having a hand and doing all these things, it has no place in the law. And when it has no place in the law, it's not a moral. And if you follow the National Assembly institutional resolution of that matter, you will see that they've taken to the part of law. They release statement that, okay, we know the law will pass and that has been gazetted. And we've not seen any dissent for it, most especially from us, because our duty is only to implement law as passed by National Assembly. If you follow Mr. President's speech, he repeated the same thing by saying that we will follow due process in the implementation of law. And to expand that further, of what purpose do we want to go and alter the law? To do what? Don't forget, the relationship between tax administrator and that of the taxpayer is like vineyard and the vineyard keeper. Because the more prosperous the taxpayer are, the better it is for us. So we are in quote not law enforcement agents that we just want to chain our people down. No. And that is the real essence of this reform, is to stimulate economic growth. Because it is when economy prospers that revenue administration has work to do. Like I've always explained, and quoting Mr. President, that I'm not going to tax poverty, I want to tax prosperity. I'm not going to tax seed, I want to tax the fruit. So I'm not going to just go and face investments, I only want to tax return. So the only duty that we have, which Mr. President is leading, is removing all the hurdles in the face or on the way of businesses. Remove that one so that business can do well, which this tax reform actually form part of.
Okay, I'll get to some of those details, but part of the controversy is that many people are saying they've not even seen the harmonized bill. When Representative Dasuki was talking, he was referring to the House version, and most of the commentators are talking about the House version.
Yes.
But the issue is, where is the harmonized copy of the bills?
Okay.
And Biala, I think that's his name, Director of Information of the National Assembly. He said, well, you know, a few people were privy to it. Were you one of those persons who saw one of the few people who saw the harmonized copy of the bills?
And that is the point I'm making. I don't even need to see the harmonized bill. I don't need to see any of those things. The only thing I need to see is the gazetted bill, which they've given to me. You know, all these processes are internal process of National Assembly, which is purely, there is separation of power. So there is no way, we don't have any duty, any role to play. Even when they discover anything, they use their own institution to correct whatever they think, it is not right. And that is why I'm saying that I don't want to focus on that. Our role is to implement the law as passed by National Assembly, and that is what we are ready to do. Thank God, January 1st has come. The law has commenced, as Mr. President and everybody has seen it, and the operational guidelines, everything is ready. So the next thing I'm looking forward is to Nigeria to start seeing the benefits.
Okay, I'll get to the operational guidelines, but before I do so, there's still another subsisting matter, which is the Memorandum of Understanding that you signed. I think you oversaw that with the French government. Something about digital taxation, modernization, and international cooperation, transfer pricing. And Nigerians are saying, why are we involving France in our operations? Why is it that since we say we have new laws, that Nigeria should develop its own capacity?
Thank you very much. And I'm so happy, and we don't take it for granted, the level of awareness that Nigeria has shown now in the development of our country. Memorandum of Understanding is just operational items, operational activities that we do, not only with France, we have with UK, we have with South Africa, which is normal. It is part of the old law and even the new law that I need to facilitate the interaction between us and global body for tax administration, because the world now is a global village. So, and you've said a correct example. When you talk about international tax and international transfer pricing, because what is your cost here is another one revenue. So the kind of agreement and relationship we have is what we have both within the region and even in continent. So it's like you say, no, Nigeria is part of UN now. So why is Nigeria part of UN? Because Nigeria is a sovereign country. We are not living in isolation. So, and we are not open any of our data system to any of these external bodies. For you, even here in Nigeria, except you have court order, you can't take another person's data, tax data, because it's like medical reports. There's confidentiality. Talk less of exposing that to international organization. So there is nothing to fear. It is normal operational item that we do not only with France, or with all other global revenue administration.
Okay, still talking about international understanding. Now, one of the areas of controversy is Section 39 sub 3 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, which talks about computation. Now, in the version that the House is referring to, they said computation should be in the currency of the transaction. But what we have in the official gazette is computation in US dollars.
No.
39.3. I can look at it here.
No. If you look at it, you will see, and that is the, let me just put more of education into it. And I repeated this, tax is a technical subject. Tax require experts, and no section is reading in isolation. Now, when they say computation, which is done anywhere in the world, should be in the currency of transaction. What that means is that if your transaction is in dollar, the tax that you are going to pay will be computed based on that currency. If the transaction is in cedi, it should be in that cedi. But in payment, one, if you have dollar to pay, good. If you don't have dollar to pay, the law allows you to pay at the current exchange rate. And that is what you see in one of the reform of Mr. President, the unification of rate. If it has not been unified, that will have been a problem. Because if you don't have that in the provision, which I know is in the same thing that is being passed, the one I have, like I told you from National Assembly, is that the transaction will be done in the currency. The computation will be done in the currency of transaction. But when you want to pay, in case you don't have the dollar, Nigerian currency is Naira. You just use the current exchange rate. So these are technical things that has nothing to do with alteration. And that is another point I'm making, that those people that are even giving alteration and everything, the first thing they should ask is that what is the benefit? So on what basis will you say, go and pay in dollar? Let me tell you implication of paying in dollar. It put pressure on foreign exchange because Nigeria spend in Naira. So if you have computation and you have to look for dollar to go and pay, and also when Nigeria want to spend again, we have to go back to that place, we are distorting the market, which is one of the reasons, one of the things this reform has done for us.
Okay, let's move quickly to implementation. Yeah, the process started on January 1, as the president declared, and as you and Mr. Yedele have both insisted. And so Nigerians more or less are faced with a fait accompli. But the same Nigerians are complaining that it looks like the government is taxing the poor to benefit the rich, despite the fact that there is that threshold on personal income tax for people earning about 800,000 naira per annum, which comes to about 66,667 per month. And beyond that, the graduated, taxation still punishes the poor. What do you say to that?
No, okay, let me just correct an impression. When you say the law started in January 1st, as declared by President, that is not totally correct.
Okay, June 26.
So, June 26, as legislated by National Assembly. Mr. President has no hand in saying this is the day the law will start. The National Assembly passed the law. Law was assented to on 26th of June. From that day, 2 of those laws become operational. The other 2 were given 6 months because the tax policy says that when you are changing rate, you must give them 3 months for the company to adjust to that your rate. That is Nigeria tax policy that we follow. And we're now saying that instead of just saying 3 months, give them 6 months because this is big for them to adjust. All law started in June when Mr. President has signed. So the only thing that is taking effect 2 days ago is the rates, because we need to give them 6 months for company to adjust their system and for us also to get ready. So the law has already started since June when Mr. President assented to the law as presented by National Assembly. So Mr. President just emphasized and giving his backing that this reform is one in generation chance that we have to actually set a fiscal standard that will sustain the kind of prosperity that our country needs. Now, if you listen to Taiwo, you listen to everybody, including me, myself, during the public hearing, one of our focus in doing this bill is to give relief to the poor, to make sure that those people at the lower realm feel little impact. And that is what I said, that we are taxing right, we are not taxing more. Because if you look at all the exemptions, you will discover that more than 95% of the poor are totally exempted. Imagine that we remove VAT on all food items. The percentage of people that actually go for their disposable income, like 90% of disposable income for poor is for food. We remove VAT totally from those ones. The same thing on transportation, which is also in the poor. So if you look at the total and the net benefit, the poor are the most beneficiary of this tax reform.
We're talking about the poor, the issue about bank charges, VAT charges on transfers. I mean, a few days ago, well, today is January what now? Now, in the last few days, people have been complaining that now VAT is taken from bank transfers. People who used to pay 15 naira per transaction, they now, if they do 2-3 transactions, they have more money going out of their accounts. Then there's the issue of bank narration. Mr. Idele was saying, well, bank narration, nobody is going to look at your data. It's not the tax authority, revenue service that is prying into your accounts. But people say, look, too much money is now being taken from their transactions. Does it not occur to you that you could inadvertently drive people away from the banking system? Why should I transfer money to anybody if they are going to take more money from me?
And that is what I'm saying. And thank you that you have this data. I want you to go and check and confirm. If anything, actually effective January 1, it has reduced. Before, when you do transfer, both you that receive and the person that pays, they deduct. Today, it is only the payer that do stamp duty, which is law. So it has nothing to do with us. That's number one. Number two is that most of this personal income tax, when people talk about individual, this is just in the profit of the State Internal Generated Revenue Agency. For federal government, for federal inland revenue, we collect corporate taxes. So when a lot of complaint that people actually talked about is what happened at the state level, which is part of the reform that we've done now. You will see that most states started domesticating the Nigeria Tax Act just to remove all those problems that people talked about. Now, when you talk about narration and all these things, I just want to tell you this. Don't forget, I told you from the beginning, that our interest is to make people to prosper, because it is in their prosperity that we will have our own revenue. Nobody will continue to look for narration or narrative. Those people you see promoting all these rumors, all these misinformation, are those people that are avoiding taxes, that there is no way out for, based on the digitalization that we brought on board, like e-invoicing. So if you transfer money to your brother, you transfer money to, this is just your normal transfer. Nobody, no tax authority, whether state or federal, will go and pray into your bank account to say, okay, who transferred what or who did what. No, there is nothing like that. It wasn't in the old law, and the same thing can be in the new law. So narration or whatever, it's just misinformation. There is nothing about that in the tax law.
Okay, I have reporting thresholds. Yes. Now, if as an individual you put 25 million in the banks, yes, the bank is obliged to report to the tax authorities. If you are a company, you have up to 100 million in terms of your profit or returns within 3 months, the bank is obliged to report. Now, people are complaining about that. Can't they just prosper without the taxman looking into every kobo and penny?
No, we don't even need to say that. And I want to say that that wasn't in the law. This has already been. And I want to tell you, I don't want to say it's only tax authority. The use of data nowadays has gone far, far beyond what people think it is all about. And it has nothing to do with tax reform. It is just the advanced level that we are now, and form of data management and the way we use data. So the reporting threshold and everything, these are already been there, and it has nothing, I repeat, it has nothing. Don't forget, the law is clear. The law is public. We can only tax profit. We can only tax consumption, which is VAT, which is normal. We can only tax your return, not your investment. And that is what one of the provision, even for the company. Before, you used to have minimum tax rate applied to your turnover, which means that even when you make loss, you will still have to pay tax based on your turnover. But that is taxing the investment, because that is not return. Because if you make loss and we are collecting taxes from you, we are collecting your capital, which is not the intent of Mr. President. And that is why you see that change. That minimum tax can only be on profit. It can never be on turnover. These are the landmark changes. And that is why I'm saying that I'm looking forward for people to come back to us and see the benefit of this laudable reform that Mr. President is leading.
Okay, Dr. Adedeji, now for the banks, the customers need mandatory NIN as individuals. I know that it's a matter of law, that citizens must have NIN. Companies must have TIN. tax identification number, right? And then it is also said in the new law that at the end of the year, you have to file for tax and you have to declare your income. If you do not do so, the penalty is 100,000 naira. And then if you still do not do so, it's 50,000 naira every additional month. This is what the people are protesting about.
Tell me, what are they protesting about in that?
The bureaucracy of filling forms.
No, what does that
money
mean?
being taken.
No, we need to select which country we want to run. All of us travel abroad, travel everywhere. We say this is good, this is nice. We are talking about terrorism financing. We are talking about all those things. We love what we see. But when it is time for us to get it done, people try to resist. Tell me, sir, what is bad in once in a year, filing as a citizen of Nigeria, that this is what I earn, this is what I've paid, have I overpaid the government, should government pay me back, or have I underpaid? Everybody does it in civilized environment. And we are now saying that, okay, let's bring ourselves into that. And I don't think it's a burdensome something. Like you said, NIN is law that almost have it. And we've said that if you have NIN, it is the same thing that we use as your tax ID if you are individual. And then company, there's no company that will not have tax identification. So doing filing, people should not complain. This is their civic responsibility. And we are there, help desk, to help. Like I said, we are not law enforcement agents. They are our partner. We live because they are there. So we are not there to make life difficult for them. Our own is to make life easier. And that is what you've seen in the operational item. Just imagine, before now you have 62 books to look into to know whether you are complying. Today you have only one book, consolidated. Before you have to go to many places. I tell you, the people in oil and gas, they will go to UPRC, come to us, go to... Today is now consolidated under Nigeria Revenue Service. That the same base, which is your oil production, you use it for your VAT, you use it for your royalty, you use it for taxes, just one place, compared to you have to go. The same thing in audit. So the process, and I mean it, that I can't wait for people to start seeing the benefit of this laudable reform that Mr. President is leading.
Okay, well, which takes me to the next set of points. From FIRS to NRS, Nigerian Revenue Service, which is the new name of the FIRS now. What is significant about this transformation?
No, and that is what
I see you have made cups, you have created a flag.
Oh, this is
I'm sure you will have changed your business card too.
No, this is the level, just to tell you that we have 6 months to prepare for this day. So all these things and the same thing that happened in the system. But there's something significant that I want to say. Nigeria Revenue Service is not branding. It is total system upgrade. It's total institutional upgrade. It is moving from fragmented revenue administration to modern, digitalized, centralized, through intelligence and collection system. The mandate is more than just tax collection. It's now revenue intelligence management. And that is what you see. So it is not focused on just name or signpost, no. And before, you see federal inland revenue, meaning that we collect money for federal, and we collect money internally alone, which is totally out of the world, because we are responsible for all revenue accruable to government, whether internal or external. The same thing, if you look at VAT, we collect, 90% of VAT goes back to state. So why do we want to answer the name federal? So Nigeria Revenue Service is more than just branding. It is total institutional upgrade in order to meet the requirement for any prosperous nation.
Okay, one more clarification that I need. Now, many Nigerians pay as you earn.
Yes.
Now, that pay as you earn, in addition to it, the banks will take VAT, and then there will be some other taxes that they will pay. They have to fill forms, they have to look for documentation. Now, and yet the whole idea, part of the objectives, is to address multiplicity of taxes. Yeah. So if a man is already on the pay as you earn basis. Why should we pay other taxes?
Okay, let me explain, and I thank you for the question. There are two broad-based taxes. You have transactional taxes and you have income taxes. Transactional taxes is irrespective of what you earn. When you get involved in transaction, you pay that type of taxes. Transactional taxes is VAT. So whether you are a banker, you are MD, you are entrepreneur, you are anything, if you go buy those products that are not exempted, you will pay VAT on it. Now, income taxes is whether you are a company or you are individual. So if you are individual, when you talk about pay as you earn, you concentrate on income because you are a salary earner or they give you money and you pay based on that income. But that will not preclude you from paying your transactional taxes, which is irrespective of who you are. Another one that people used to mix up is withholding tax. Withholding tax is not type of taxes. It's not VAT, it's not another tax. Withholding tax is called prepaid tax. Because when you get involved in certain transactions that except the payer discloses, there is no way we will know. That is why you withhold tax, and they give you receipts. That when you want to do your filing at the end of the year, let's say they withheld 20,000 from you, and your total tax at the end of the year is now 100,000 based on your filing. You deduct the withholding tax you've paid, and then you only pay balance. So it's not type of taxes. So when people say withholding tax, no, it's because you've done a transaction that resulted in profit, and except the payer deduct that, there is no way system will know. For example, you have fixed deposits in the bank. Let's say 1 million. At the end of the month, they pay you 1,000. There is no way we will know, except the bank that pays as withheld 10% or whatever, which is withholding. But you have right to collect receipt from whatsoever that be withheld from you, so that when you do your total filing at the end of the year or quarterly, you can less withholding tax you paid. So it's not another additional taxes or whatever. It's just tax that you've paid in advance based on the income that you've generated. So when you see that, despite the fact that it's pay as you earn, as long as you get involved in those transactional items, you get to pay those transactional taxes.
At the end of the day, all of us will run away from the banks.
No, you don't need bank. It's not a bank thing. Bank has nothing. And I try to explain it to people. Tax law, tax reform has nothing to do with what is going on in the bank. Because it's not tax law, they are charging you COT. Don't forget that they get paid there. So it is from your transaction, they have the money that they get paid. It has nothing to do. And that's what I've explained. There is nothing in tax law that mandated bank to do any additional charges or any additional charges. This is the same thing I clarified with aviation. When the aviation person raised first alarm last time, and I asked him the question, have we introduced tax act before you increase the price more than double from beginning of the year to the end of the year? Does that tax law have anything to do with that?
Okay, Dr. Adeleke, another big question. This revenue that will now come to the Nigeria Revenue Service, people are asking, what is the Nigerian government doing with additional revenue? This is the old point about trust that people are talking about.
Okay.
They're saying, okay, we will invariably contribute more money for government to run properly, but we don't trust government.
But the trust is built along the time. And if you look at Mr. President, what we've promised when Mr. President assumed office, today we just passed December. Did you see any fuel, queue for the fuel? Did you see any scarcity? This is result of reform. So when people ask, what do we use the money for? Do people actually take into consideration the expenditure of government to maintain peace and order? For us at the Revenue Administration, our is to assess, to collect, and to account for that money. National Assembly appropriates and we execute whatever government wants to do. But anywhere in the world, you have your expenditure, you have your revenue. So I understand, because of reform gap, that people say, they want to start saying. But if you look at where we are coming from, before this time on exchange rate instability, the fuel scarcity, the subsidy, all those things that we promised then, that when Nigeria supports us and we're able to remove and do doing all those things, the result is here. If you go to state now, go and see how much do state collect before? How much are they collecting now? So when you are talking about the impact, don't forget, we are less than 3 years. And it takes time for this thing to trickle down. And I'm very sure this year, 2026, people will feel the impact of government.
Okay. This reform has been put in place just about a few months or a year, if you like, to the political transition to 2027 general elections. People are saying that how can we be sure of the independence of Nigeria Revenue Service, lack of political interference, and the use of all these small prints to deal with the opposition? Because, under the electoral laws, you must have paid your tax, you must do. And that maybe the APC government is looking for a way to use tax returns and tax obligations to marginalize the opposition.
Honestly, when you ask that question, I don't know that is where you will go. I think the question you will ask is that we need to commend the courage of Mr. President, that despite the fact that there is election coming, is courageous enough to continue on this path of statesmanship, not of that of politician. Because if you know, as a politician, this is not the time, but he believes that the future of Nigeria is far, far beyond political affiliation. It's far beyond political. So I read a lot of half-baked, lack of depth analysis of some politicians, most especially as far as this is concerned. But when you read through, you will see that is either they've not read the tax law or someone wrote it for them and they put it under their name, because the kind of thing I expect from them, most especially when you have a reform that exempted almost anything that has to do with 95% of poor people, and someone is still talking that, oh, this is not the right policy. So you begin to wonder whether they've not read it or someone put it for them and they just put it under their name. So when you ask about the question about political, whatever, no, the Nigeria Revenue Service, as the name calls it, Nigeria, not Political Revenue Service. So there is no way that we will do that. We are patriotic civil servants working for the progress and prosperity of Nigeria. So if anything, we should commend the courage of Mr. President to, despite the fact what the opposition or people may think, but he believes in the right thing, not about this next election, but about next generation.
Okay, Dr. Adeleke. Now there is a transition. FIRS is becoming Nigeria Revenue Service. Is there a transition framework in place? And particularly in terms of greater focus on technology, and also in terms of the capacity, because human beings are the ones going to work in Nigeria Revenue Service. Have you made any framework, worked on any framework for human capacity?
Thank you very much. One of the things I thank God for every day is I'm blessed with wonderful staff that God has given me in Federal Land Revenue and now Nigeria Revenue Service. They are patriotic, capable Nigeria. And you remember...
You are sure they won't become consultants?
No, there is no
taxpayers?
No, there won't be any, because that is why we write the tax law in simplified language. That when people read it, it's straightforward, unlike what we've done before. This is the most significant fiscal document in the last 50 years of this country. Nobody, no administration has done the kind of thing we've done. If I may tell you, the Stamp Duty Act we are using before this was promulgated in 1939. The Stamp Duty, 1939, when there was no internet, none of all these things. So they become inadequate for what we've done. So for us, we are prepared, we are ready, and that is why when I told you the law has started 6 months ago, all what we're doing, and you can see the effect of it, is that it's not in 2 days they will have produced the call. So this is just symbolic about what we are ready to do. And for your information, operation is operation. The fact that we change, we still collect royalty, collect taxes, collect all those things. So we've done system integration, and you've put it rightly, that what we've brought majorly is that most of those manual activities that encourages human intervention has been removed totally. A dedicated department is now for technology, because we know the future actually belongs to those data-driven organizations. So we are ready. I have confident trust of my people, and I know that they have what it takes to take Nigeria to the next level in revenue administration.
When you talk about technology, data-driven, we are in this same country where digital systems introduced, will fail routinely, and there will be glitches, and we'll be told that, oh, it was technology that failed. And that could create serious problems, because we're talking about people's money.
No,
so
honestly,
any guarantee that there will be no glitches?
No, there won't be any glitches. I can tell you.
You can't be too sure.
No,
during elections, it happens.
No. I can be too sure, because we are not starting today. Don't forget that we've been a system and we've used technology thus far. It's just upgrade. Like I told you, that NRS is not branding, it's institutional upgrade. And we are doing upgrade. We have the best brain in the country working for us in in Nigeria Revenue Service. So we have the capacity. Even if there will be glitches, there are alternatives. We have a contingency plan, because we are administrator. And all those things we put into consideration.
Okay. Now, as I begin to wrap up now, going forward, what should Nigerians expect? Some Nigerians have said they are going to go onto the streets. NANS, Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students, the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Some people have said those controversial sections should be suspended and should not be implemented until there is greater clarity. Now, so what should Nigerians expect going forward? What do you recommend?
Like I said earlier, I will, on behalf of Nigeria Revenue Service, Mr. President, we appreciate Nigeria for their concern. We appreciate them for their awareness. We appreciate them for their contribution. But the only message I have for Nigeria is that people should not listen to rumors, innuendos. They should analyze the data as it affects them. So when you see the group of people, they say, oh, this is what we want to say. Have they read the law? Let them read the law, and how does the law affect them? And they should wait for the results, not mass or mob action. So when people say they want to suspend the law, so does that mean the whole law has been repealed? When you suspend this one, we should not collect revenue for 3 years. What will happen to Nigeria? Or what do they mean? And when they say suspend, people forget that we've subscribed ourselves to democracy, where there are rules of law. So no individual, except you are under emergency, can suspend a law. The law passed by National Assembly is law. If you have anything, it's either you have Finance Act, you have amendments that you can do, but nobody can suspend law. So when you see people, you need to go and see their motive. Right? And that is why I'm worried, and thank God, I always thank God for the kind of president we have, for his courage. Because when a political party or something say, oh, they want to come out and rally or do protest, to stop what? So, and that is the question. So we have the law, National Assembly for 6-7 months, so public hearing, we follow all those things so they don't bring any point. Now, implementation has started, people have started to begin to see the result, and they say, okay, they want to go on protest. Protest for what? And that is the question you should ask them. And then I'm using this time to call all the security agencies to be on alert, because you will definitely know that it can never be the poor that the reform is protecting, that they are the one they want to. These are the people on patriotic Nigeria that they just want to frustrate the benefits of this reform.
Okay, finally, do you agree with the view that the tax authority needs to do more in terms of informing the people, and that perhaps maybe this tax reform act should even be translated into local languages, simplified, so that the people will know what they are into?
I agree 100%, and that is why you see that what is the media team and all of it, including you and all Nigeria, must do is to educate people, to let people know the import. Like I told you, The interest of Mr. President is to make sure Nigeria prosper. That's why you see, together we rise, together we prosper. That is Mr. President's aim, is for the prosperity of this nation. That is his idea. That is his moving force, motivation. One reason why we have to do this, consolidating all the fragmented law into one, make it simplify it, make it a one-stop shop, that people don't, the compliance cost is lower, and the compliant taxpayer are not overburdened. That is why the reform is about taxing right, not taxing more. And
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Zach Adedeji, Chairman